You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy 21st.
Thank you. I am here with a very special guest who I've mentioned many times in this podcast. Her name is, to me, will always be forever Miss Williams.
That's it. That's cool. You can go with that. Crissy Ulrick Williams. That's right. But to you, Miss Williams. Yep.
Miss Williams forever.
Yeah,
you
man.
are one of, I just want to say, straight off the back here, you are one of the most influential people I've had in my life when it comes to teachers that have actually taken the time and effort into going and like taking the time really to put in for their kids, like their actual students. And it's ridiculous to even ask that of anybody, especially for a teacher to teach a class of what, 20, like almost 20, 30 kids.
Yeah, man, 22 now.
And it's like the effort that each kid needs their own. Each kid has their own steps, their own little way to move forward. You know, some kids are quicker at learning. Some kids are slower. Right. When it comes to like math, I was crap at it. You know, I didn't have that passion. I had too much energy. I was ADHD, you know,
Yeah,
hyper
I remember your
little
story.
kid.
I'm honored to be here, man. It's super great to see you. 11 years later, I think.
Basically,
11
yeah.
years,
I
man.
was around
I had you in
9 or
third
10.
grade,
Yeah.
and it was well, it's like all teachers, you know, we're pretty much into it, the good ones, because like we seriously know that we can be your biggest cheerleader, and that's what I was for you. Your mom stepped you in that day, and I'll never forget it.
You were the supporting wall that told me that school is, there's some teachers that aren't going to care about you, but there are some that are going to literally put in everything. Single amount of effort. You need help after school, and a lot of teachers are like, oh, you can do this after school class, you can do this after school class. No, you're like, Robbie, you're going to sit here with me and we're going to figure this out. If I had a problem with a book, if I couldn't read something, you were like, hey, you need to sit here and, you know, find a way to do it. And you would incorporate it, not just like make me sit there and do it like my grandparents
I used to let you drum.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
That was huge.
How do you remember that?
I remember it all.
That was a big outlet for me because my dad and everybody in my family having a music background, and it was just before we even get down into this, because we're already at such a good point, I wanted to ask you, what professionally, do you still teach professionally?
Absolutely. I am a educational rock star.
Are you going to keep that going for as long as you possibly can?
I totally am. As long as I possibly am here in Worcester County, and then definitely want to take my light somewhere else because, you know, down south, possibly Key West, you know, a good friend that's down there, Montessori type things. But dude, it's like a passion of mine. But I think I knew that I was a helper really early on.
Like when you were a child?
Yeah, but when you came into my room, I'll never forget that moment. Like, I literally remember having a discussion with your mom and Dr. Gaddis, who, I remember when you switched schools, and your mom literally reached her hand out to me, and I felt connected to your mom instantly. Like I had known her before. Never met her, you know? I don't think 98.1 was on then, were they?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, and
pretty sure she was probably on X1069 back before that closed down.
Yeah. And I remember she didn't tell me your whole story, but she was just like, so my son, he's really musical, and he just didn't have a very good experience where he was last. And she didn't give me a whole lot. And I'm like, hey, it's school. I'm going to love him like I love them all, you know?
So do you know the story of why I even transferred?
Yes, I do. I actually listened to your podcast where you mentioned me not too long ago. So you were in a scenario with some people, and it happens a lot, where, you know, we don't, teachers or professionals or administrators or schools really don't know what's up, equipped, don't know what to do with a child. But I love the shift in education now because we're putting so much into like mental health, finally.
Yeah.
And trauma and ADHD and anxiety and...
What do you mean you're putting so much more?
More. We're
like,
putting... As a school system, like as a universe, I think, actually.
What's some certain examples besides the teachers, like individual teachers taking their time and effort into it? Are you guys doing more programs? Like,
well, we are being trained on trauma. we're being trained on.
Really?
Yeah, it's super.
Is it just
beautiful.
that school system, or is there?
No, it's everywhere. I think
now?
it's everywhere. I think the world is waking up to the fact that we need a lot more love and understanding.
And also, the world's waking up to the fact that we can't just throw pills at kids and expect them to be able to take those.
Absolutely, we're trying to figure out like what's up. Yeah, a lot more training with the brain, a lot more training with empathy. And when you came in, your mom was like, "Yeah, he has ADHD," and I'm like, "All right." And had I had a child at that point? Yes, I think I had just had Zoe.
Yeah,
and
she was a little bit younger than me.
Exactly, and actually, I probably had Grace too. So I didn't really have my own personal experiences yet with ADHD or anxiety, but with my own children. But dude, I had it fully in my childhood. Fully in my childhood. I had, I had those teachers like you did, that were like, what the heck is wrong with her, man? We're just going to set her over here in the corner and let her do her thing. And I was just like, dude, I'm never going to be that teacher. Like, ever. You got to find the light, man. You got to find, like, the drive. And every kid, and with you were so, you smiled. Despite everything you were going through,
despite my messed up teeth, I smiled.
I never noticed your teeth.
Oh my God, my teeth are horrible.
Hey,
it's from my brother. A little bit of that. Me and him going bashing back and forth, knocking out the baby teeth. But I mean, the fact you got to understand. When I left, drums. When I left this school system, or not this school system, but my other school. I was dealing with so much going on. I was going to my grandparents every weekend. They lived up in Delaware. They were driving. We were staying the nights there. They were driving me like to school because there was stuff going on at home. Either we were moving, we were doing something. We were always moving. That's not my parents' fault. That's the economy system. That's just how, stuff happens.
Right.
And they get in tough situations where they're not going to be home and they can't worry about us. They have to have someone take care of us. But it was the hardest thing, traveling, getting up 2 hours earlier than we normally would get up just to go to school. And because they lived in Delaware, so we were traveling an hour from there all the way up to here, and that's on a good day if there's no traffic. Sitting there watching like movies in the minivan, and I'd get dropped off at school, and I would wake up. I remember the one specific dream I had. One of my parents was in a car accident. And I freaked out, and I was with my dad at the time, and he drove me to the school to get ready, drop me off, say goodbye. And I see him as he's driving off and making sure he's okay and leaving. And I saw him, he said he dropped something, and he had to pick it up off the floor, but his car swerved, and it was in this area right before you leave, there was a tree. And I thought he was going to hit the tree, and I started freaking out and screaming, and it had me shook up all morning.
And you were like 7.
Yeah.
And you still remember this dream.
I remember 100% down to every minute detail of it, and I ended up telling my parents about it later that day. We went to where it was an old Mexican restaurant. It's now a bank now, but in Berlin, the Bank of Ocean City, that one that's right there used to be a little Mexican restaurant.
Yes,
I took my mom. Or my mom took me and my dad and my brother, and we went there, and I explained this dream to them. And they were like, that's strong. I mean, I can understand where you would cry from that. But I walked into class all shook up, and it wasn't the first time I had something like that. I was getting these strong dreams and like nightmares, basically, that would just affect me emotionally throughout the day, where I have it thinking about it all the time, just worried about my family, making sure they're okay.
Right.
And I would walk into this class, and this teacher this one time said, I can't deal with him today.
Yeah.
And then at that point, every time I showed up after that, I was put in basically solitary confinement. It was punishment. I was in a white room.
Which
I
is
swear to you.
Whatnot. You did not need that at all. You just need somebody to listen to you.
I was in a room.
Validate you.
Yeah, I was in a white room with a desk. I mean, a straight up desk. Like just sitting. That's it. And then there was a window, one little window, a square little window, like in the door, so you could look through. I felt like I was in a jail cell. And I remember the teacher would walk by every now and again and just look in the window. There were no phones back then. There was nothing I could do. I was sitting there with a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, a pencil, and then sometimes they bring in a booklet or a packet for me to do. They just shove it at me and just leave me in there. Nobody took the time.
Right.
My first grade teacher did. You did. My 4th grade teacher, Mr. Booth.
Oh,
he's somebody
amazing.
I want him.
He's still there.
I still see him at the gym.
Actually, we're going to be doing an after-school club together. He actually does a gentleman's club for our school after school, and I'm helping him with that. So I will definitely get him on here. He would be honored to do that.
You gotta talk to him for me about that. I would love to have him on my podcast.
And he has an amazing story, and he's been teaching still a long time. But dude, I remember when you walked into that room, and I remember your mom telling me about nightmares, and that kind of hit me because I was a kid that used to have nightmares too. And I think at the moment one of my children were having nightmares, and I just remember like, okay, I'm just gonna make this kid happy. And who did I introduce you to? Was it Matt?
Matt Brissy.
Yeah, see?
You introduced me to a kid that was just as shy as I was, worried about entering this new class. And you introduced me to the whole school, like the whole class
classroom.
first. But then you took Matt individually and said, I think you'll get along with this person.
Yeah.
And a kid that was wearing all black, basically it seemed like the complete opposite to how I was.
But he was into the same things you were.
Yeah, and I didn't know this. And
and that's the thing.
We
about
became
teaching.
best friends. I was sleeping at his house.
His mom's
I see
amazing.
his mom and his
Family's
dad
amazing.
still,
Yep.
and they hug me and say, "What's up, buddy? How's it going?" Even though me and Matt aren't super close anymore, just with getting older and school comes and all that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I used to hang out with him every single day.
I remember that. I think I remember seeing you guys like skate up and down Berlin.
We lived right across.
Because he was right on Powelton.
He was right by the firehouse, right where I was. So I'd be like going to Matt's house, and my parents. This was the time where you could actually let your kids go out on the street in like a scooter.
We still
kind of
do in Berlin. It's super awesome.
But it's like a lot of places you can't do that anymore.
I know.
Trying to have I remember when I was 15 years old and I was skating through Ocean City, my dad that's when I had a cell phone. My dad was calling me every hour, and eventually he figured it out. Like once I hit 17, it was like, all right, you don't need to keep track of him. He'll be home when he gets home and all that. But it's like you can't do that with your kids in Ocean City compared to our Ocean Pines or Berlin. You can't just have your kids go, hey, 8 or 9 years old, go skate around.
It's crazy. I mean, I grew up in West Ocean City. Like I used to bike across the bridge to go sit on the beach. I used to bike across the bridge. I used to walk. My mom was born on Golf Course Road. She used to walk from Golf Course Road to the beach to her job. Yeah, but I mean, there's still definitely those people out there that trust everything going on. But you're right, you have to be super cautious.
I just believe that there's some people had a really bad run of the go at things. I definitely did at the start, but what happens and what forms you in that moment is how someone takes the time and effort into really putting in time with their students, which is the biggest influence and possible benefit of your job being a teacher. It is ridiculous, first of all, how much you guys get paid to do what you do.
Right.
So if you want to go into that, you can probably explain a little bit more on pay.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we definitely are not in it for the pay. Like we're in it for exactly what you said. I mean, come on, it's 11 years later and you're coming back to me, and I have so many old students come back to me and want to hang out, That's why we're in it.
Not only did I come back 11 years later and talk to you,
right.
You remember these details and these certain things that are now clicking in my memory, getting the wheels turning, where I'm like, how did she even remember that?
Dude, I think I put little soft things on your pencils so that you could just drum in your desk, man.
You did do
that.
I
was just like, if this makes you feel better,
the eraser
go ahead.
Caps.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I mean as a system, like our school system, and I definitely think in this country we are so much more mindful to what kids need. Let's just do what they need. I don't remember that you were bad at math. I don't remember if you struggled in reading. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that crazy? Like, I remember.
Well, you're one of the teachers that took the time and found my outlet for spelling.
Spelling, yeah.
Grammar.
That's very typical too with kids with ADHD. To have difficulty.
The one thing I do, I'm surprised that you figured out that a lot of teachers I don't think really even figured out was when they were explaining that I did have ADHD and you could kind of sense that I was hyperactive, you'd let me stay an extra 10 minutes or make sure I ran a lap or something before I came back into class.
Still do that today.
And that little bit Oh, that helped me focus so much. 'Cause
Absolutely.
you were like, you literally would sit out there, and if you saw me not doing anything at recess, like not moving around like I used to, or not having either a good time or doing something, be like, hey, Robbie, why don't you go run down there and back? And then I'd run back, like, okay, all right, and then you kick a ball or something. Go get that and come back. Like, not really like I was a dog, but more like the fact that, like,
get your
I needed that little push or I was not going to pay attention. I was going to end up disrupting the whole class. And that wasn't just... that probably wasn't your fear that I would disrupt it, but more the fact that you're trying to get me to learn.
Right.
But, that's a big thing. I would try and class clown it. I would bring it out. I would bring out jokes to make everybody laugh because I felt uncomfortable. I had too much energy. I needed something.
Yeah, your anxiety. You were trying to fit in. But, I love to laugh. I love kids in my room. I actually have one right now who I'm letting drum, who I'm letting, obviously we let stand up, who he gets early exits, where he just can't handle being in line. And it's like, hey, we're going to let you go to your specials just about a minute early, time it a little bit different. He takes a couple more laps, like we find what you need. But I mean, every human just needs different things.
You also did a star book or sticker book. Do you still do that?
The sticker book?
Yeah.
Oh, you liked those stickers.
I did like those stickers.
You liked the smelly ones, if I can remember.
Very
and the
much.
Fuzzy ones,
That was like that was my little thing to get going.
You actually collected sticker books.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
You would bring them into me and show me your sticker books.
I know, yeah.
I forgot about that. That's a trip.
That was a big thing because I would always go home and show my mom, see, I was good today. See, I was good today.
Yeah, different things like that we still do. I mean, hey, I still like to get a gold star every now and then.
Exactly.
We have this whole philosophy at school. It's called bucket filling now. And it came from a book. And it's a super awesome concept. It's called Have You Filled a Bucket Today? And one of my colleagues brought it to my attention. I think someone gave it to her at like her mother's funeral. Because, that can be very profound and healing. Yeah. And it's this concept about everyone walks around like with an invisible bucket. And you carry your feelings and emotions and fears in this invisible bucket. And you can have your bucket filled by doing great things for other people. Like, I'm going to smile at you today. Hey, I just filled your bucket. Like, I'm going to do something nice for you today. I'm going to pick up your books because you fell them. I'm going to hold open a door. But then there's the flip side, which is really important when you teach kids about kindness. You can dip into people's buckets, too. Like, when you say something mean to someone, you actually are dipping into their bucket and taking out
some of their joy.
All their joy. You could send them a mean text and you're hurting them. You're taking out some of their joy. But hey, guess what? You're also taking out your joy too. And that's kind of how like we've tried to teach bullying and mean and how it's not cool to be mean, because usually those kids are walking around on an empty bucket. Those bullies, those kids that. And why are they walking? They
got Band-Aids on. Emotional Band-Aids.
Absolutely. But why are they walking around with that bucket? It's because of what they've experienced, what they're going through right now. So guess what you got to do? You can't distance yourself from those bucket dippers. You have to actually try to fill their bucket. You actually have to try to connect with them. Isn't that like the most amazing concept?
What's the hardest student you've probably ever had to connect with? I don't really expect you to have a clear answer on that, because you are such good at what you do and taking the time into finding a kid's every source or every outlet that he needs. But have you had one that's had you difficult at times where you felt like you wanted to give up but never actually did it?
There's this one name that comes to my mind, and actually had him for a couple of years, and where most people were like, psh, listen, actually looped with him. Had him in second grade, and then I decided, you know what, I want to put more time in with him, and I moved up with the whole class in third grade. But I still connected with him. Like, he loved me, I loved him. We had a great internal energy going on. I'm trying to think if that, yeah, okay, so... Okay, yeah, there's one that came with a lot of trauma, more trauma than I have ever seen.
Like family-wise?
Oh yeah, like confidential stuff that I can't even talk about. And actually had a couple that year, and they came with that, and that I put in so much to them. Was two of them. Actually had like a group of 4 in a class of like 18. And my administrators are awesome, man. I've been totally blessed with amazing administrators that say, hey, I want you to just do your magic with this child. Don't worry about their academics or their test scores, because that can't come until they have that basic need of love.
Yeah.
But you get those kids that didn't have that basic need of love. They are a lot out there, man. And you have to really put all of your love, seriously, dude, all of your love into them. And if you have a class of 20 and you have 4 kids that have like zero love, seriously, like because of trauma, because of what that happened to them in their childhood, you find yourself giving every ounce. And when you have a class of 21 kids and you have a class of a group of kids that need a lot, it becomes kind of like disease. You're living in like this world where you're giving so much, from 8:30 to 4:00, that you forget to take care of yourself. You go home and you're like, whew, man, the things going on in your head, because you know what they've gone through. Like, you're sitting with their therapist, you're sitting with, a parent, or sometimes a social service person, and you're going through exactly what they've been through. And dude, that
you're
can
like,
kill
how is
you.
that kid can stand up right now?
That can kill your
How does
spirit.
that person get out of bed? That when you hear stories like that,
Yeah.
and you hear what somebody like a little kid like that, especially at the age of 8, 9, or
Dude.
10, and you hear the stories they go through, you're
take
like,
it on.
not even an adult, like,
Yeah.
it makes you sit back and be like you just watched Titanic, you start tearing up,
Dude.
Like, it's ridiculous.
I mean, I cried that year with kids. Like, we didn't have recess duty that year.
The fact that you're cheering, I can see you're tearing up a little bit right now.
yeah,
You're
dude.
very passionate, and you don't understand how much that is for a child. Like,
Yeah, they feel
this
that.
this is like, I love to see somebody so passionate about something, and especially when it comes to students, when it comes to the young minds of children. Like, they go through a lot, and every kid is shaped. They're basically a ball of clay, a ball of Play-Doh, and they're being formed throughout life. And a lot of times when it's something I noticed when I started being more positive and open into the world. I was kind of just extrovert for like a past couple of years of my life, but becoming more, or not extrovert, introvert, but now becoming more extrovert, where I'm becoming more open to society and just how the world is. I realize the world is crap, but there are good things in it, and you have to find those good things. You have to make every step that you take in preparation for what you want to do next, not for anybody else, not for anything else. That does not mean go out in public and be a jerk to anybody.
Right.
That means be open to everything, love, compassion.
Yeah.
It takes more muscles to frown than smile.
You're right.
And if you can go out in public, like, I always hold the door open for older people. I always, if somebody needs help with groceries, I'm helping somebody. Someone wants to push their cart back, and I'll push it back for them.
Filling all kinds of buckets.
It's like, it's that little thing, like, it's like when you go to the drive-thru or something and someone pays it forward.
Oh, isn't that awesome?
Oh, your meal's paid for. Okay, I'm going to pay for the person behind me.
Yeah, dude.
And then that chain, like I've said before on this podcast, might stop there, or it might keep going. But that person is going to have a little bit, like you said, a little bit, their bucket's going to get filled a little bit. They're going to want to fill somebody else's bucket with half of their scoop.
Exactly.
And it just keeps going down and down. It's a trickle-down effect where everyone is getting a little bit of that joy. And I think that's beautiful, and I believe if the world can come together more in 2019, now that we're here,
man.
I believe in, like, if that keeps happening in the next 10 years, there could be some major changes.
Shifts.
Like, I mean, laws being passed, certain things, like more people being open. I don't see gay marriage being discriminated that much anymore as it used to be, like, especially when you hear from your grandparents how it was. All races, everybody's we're all kind of coming together, we're understanding, but a lot of that happens to do with when we have a giant conflict. When the world comes to a 9/11 or it comes to a California wildfire, that especially that we just had in 2018, you got to understand, like, we come together, we understand, it doesn't matter what skin color you are, it doesn't matter what your views are, it doesn't matter if you're a boy, if you identify as a girl.
It doesn't matter.
It's
humans, man. Yeah, I almost wear this shirt today, actually. I got it from a friend of mine. She owns a shop in Berlin, and it's like, raise good humans. I almost wore it, because that's it. that's it. We're all humans, right?
We're all in together on this giant chunk of floating rock going through space, hurling a million miles an hour.
But the thing, back to those kids, like, that's the one thing I try to remember. Like, every child in front of me was someone's baby, like someone's first moment of like pure joy with a whoa, you know? And sometimes some of those families are like, whoa, I don't know what to do. And they don't quite figure that out. And you get them sitting in front of you, but dude, all they really want is love. I mean, that's why I like hashtag all you need is love. Like, seriously, all you need is love, you know? Like, all you need. So I put a lot of love into that group that year. And man, my doctor was just like, listen, your blood pressure is not your blood pressure medication is not working. Like, you're going to stroke out. It was the first year that I had ever been put on a medical leave. You know, and
you were dealing with so much stress.
I was dealing with, but it wasn't really like, it wasn't stress like you would think it would be. It was emotional.
Just dealing with hearing all the stories and everything
that. And then
that has to give you such major anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, so I get anxiety when I see Sandra Bullock on the TV because it reminds me of my mom. Like, I get anxiety.
Did you watch Bird Box?
Oh, I saw Bird Box. That was the dumbest movie. I only enjoyed the first 10 minutes where everybody was crashing cars and stuff.
Oh my gosh. But no, like, anxiety is huge. It's a huge, I love to teach kids, man, and I'm the inclusion classroom. So, like, give me your broke, give me your tired, give me your weak. I want them, you know? But I also have, like, an awesome team of teachers. It's not just me anymore. I work with a special ed inclusion teacher. I work with another specialist and then another specialist. So it's like we're all a team. So back when I had you, I feel like maybe someone else could have came in to help me, not an educational assistant. But did I have another teacher in the room?
No. You had someone that was learning that would...
Oh, interns.
Yeah, interns.
They're huge. Still a huge... I'm still a huge...
Well, you're not... Like I said, when you take the effort into doing that, when the students and the interns that see that, that might inspire them to become the teacher that goes the extra mile just like you do.
Dude, and that's why I started, man. Dude, that was it. So I am definitely a partner with Salisbury University, and I've gotten I've gotten a mentor award. Hey, nice little plaque, but sorry, the biggest joy with me is like just having my interns in their own classroom and then seeing their posts on social media, seeing their Snapchats, and they're purely happy.
That's crazy though, because you got to think, like, I'm sorry, I'm just astounded by the fact that how passionate you are towards your job. You don't understand how much that, like that makes me want to raise my kids here eventually and have you teach them.
Hey, I will. I have that now, Robbie. This is the first year, right? One of my favorite students. Well, you know, you're all our favorites, but dude, this chick, her name was Alexis. She just lit up my room like you did. And she actually walked in this year. It was the first year I experienced it. And she's like, hi, this is my stepson. I'm like, whoa. And she's pregnant. And I'm like, whoa, wait, didn't I just have you? But I have her son. And it's like starting to come full circle, you know? And that is super awesome. That's when you know, okay, the time that I put in. But dude, don't get me wrong. There are days where, like that week, where my doctor was like, yeah, you can't go in. We have to write you a note. You have to figure out how to get your blood pressure down. Like, you're taking way too much into your soul. Like, this is breaking you down. You can't save every single one. And I didn't like that. I didn't like somebody telling me I can't save them. I can't save every single one. That doctor, he was like, you seriously need to leave?
That's something that goes on a lot with, like, war people, too. Like,
yeah, he was like, you need to leave and go away. And I went to North Carolina, and I went to Ocracoke Island, where there's, like, nothing there. I love Ocracoke. Have you ever been there?
No.
It's where black bear was captured, believe it or not.
What?
Yeah! And Ocracoke's this little island in the Hatteras, the last island in Hatteras. And I just sat, sunrise to sunset. Had some good friends that were down there at the time too. And, you know, I just was like, I got to get myself together. Maybe I can't really save everyone. And then I came to a realization where I am just a part of a child's long education.
Yeah.
If I can't do what I really wanted to do with this child's soul and let them see love and joy.
Let them see the light.
Let them see the light. Yeah, you like that?
I like that, yeah.
Tattoo. And if I can't do that, then I just need to bow down. And then there's going to be another teacher down the road that will. Or there's going to be a random person that will. Because I totally believe in serendipity and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I have heard that he's not, one of them, most of them are doing well, but one of them is not doing so well. But I do believe that he's going to get the help that he needs. You have to believe that.
Gotta have faith, too.
Exactly.
That's definitely a big motivator.
But I was one of those people that was sitting at Stephen Decatur and loved Decatur, class of 92 here. But I had a teacher that literally told me, you're not going to graduate from here.
I was told that a lot of times.
Yeah. So, see, I went from Ocean City Elementary to St. Francis de Sales. I did not go to the public school system in the middle school. My dad wanted us to experience religion for a few years. And then I went to Stephen Decatur. So when I was at St. Francis, small class sizes, like 10, 12, I was not very up to speed with math, anything math. And I left there, and they put me right into like Algebra 1 in Stephen Decatur. Didn't really take... And
I took it 3 times, so
you're
talking to
I had
somebody.
A teacher, and she was literally in front of everybody. She was like, I don't know what's wrong with you, girl. Like, you just have a mental block with math. You're not gonna pass. You're not gonna get your graduation certificate.
This teacher sounds Japanese.
She was so not Japanese. She was like, you're not gonna even graduate. I will never forget that moment. So much shame. She's like, you need to go down to the guidance office and you need to sign up for remedial math.
Dang.
Right? And in that moment, walking to that guidance counselor's office, I was like, you know what? I'm going to freaking become a teacher.
And prove her wrong.
And I'm going to prove her wrong. And damn if I did not go back to Decatur right before she graduated and was like, hey, what's up? Just to let you know, I'm Worcester County. Just hired.
Spite is a motivator, too. Holy crap.
And I'm going to be teaching 3rd grade, so really didn't need that algebra that you were really trying to shove down my throat. And she didn't even remember me. But I think I took it like 3 times, too. Literally. And then it was the one thing that always still is in my mind. The math, like, I'm not good with numbers. And where's that coming from where I said I'm not good with numbers? It's coming from her. That's coming from that teacher who was telling me, you're not good with numbers. And I still replay that in my head. I have to shake it out. And then I met Gwen Lehman, changed my life forever. She was the theater teacher. So here I am feeling like, I don't know what the heck, I'm not going to graduate. Like, I was after school, man, tutors, people were coming. My dad was paying people to try to help me. I could not get it. It was like, that mental block was there. Definitely there because of skill deficit, but I think mostly there because of that teacher's words. They stick with you for a while.
Well, like I said, everyone walks around with emotional Band-Aids.
Absolutely.
If they're covering up their scars and stuff, it's never going to go away. Whether it's something that happened at birth or whether it's something that they're just dealing with on a constant basis. But it's like when you have a stack of rocks and someone just keeps adding more rocks on top, one day it's going to collapse.
Absolutely.
And that's when you see the dangers in the world where someone shoots up a movie theater or something.
Yeah, dude.
It's sad. Nobody has an outlet to talk to. I really and when I went to school was for addictions counseling when I first started going.
I remember.
I got one more semester left until I'm graduating from Warwick. I'm sending you an invitation to that.
Dude, I'm coming. That's beautiful.
I did my associate's degree. I was taking 5 classes a semester. My last... I was going... And I was working 2 jobs. So it was like I was coming home, going to the gym, working out 3 hours, going into work, coming home, doing schoolwork, sleeping, doing the same thing over every single day where I had no time to do anything for myself. And I was like... My mom... Everyone could tell I was getting stressed. And it was like, I need to do this. And the only outlet I had was the gym. That's still my only outlet, you know. I have body issues where I need to be working out. I have never missed a day. I'm not going to miss a day. I need to work out. I need that click there.
Yeah.
But that's because I was bullied really bad growing up through school for being overweight, for doing that types of stuff. But also, when you're dealing with the bullying that goes on between other kids, you do find when it's hard, it makes it even more difficult to pay attention in a classroom scenario. I was afraid to show up to class at times because there were certain kids that I thought were going to be there that were going to pick on me.
So intimidation.
And it's also like you're dealing with that, and that's not even, you don't even have no clue what's going on, especially when someone like me doesn't come out and say
Doesn't talk about it.
Then you don't have the chance or ability to help and maybe sit these kids down to the point where they can be friends. And sometimes, yes, that makes the situation a little bit worse. But it's like you as a teacher, the teachers take in what happens in the school system as far as they can. What they have to put in after and once their job and their time to clock out is, you got to understand how much of an effort and how much I see as an adult now. It really is something that you take the time to stay back some days and, you know, work with a student harder.
Right.
You know, clock out, go do something out and pick up something for the kid and bring it in the next day in your own free time.
Right.
Where the kid,
yeah, man, we do that all the time.
just to see the person smile.
Yeah.
I know you probably have dreams of your students, dreams of certain days in class, and probably,
totally.
and I bet every day for you in a classroom situation is a dream. But it's like you have these moments, and I can see it when your Snapchat with your kids and stuff. You're so like with your kids and all this stuff. It's like, that's amazing to see. Like, there's people out there that love helping children, love doing all this stuff. My brother's girlfriend's a teacher too, and she deals, I think, with like first or second graders, and she loves bringing home the drawings that they make and stuff. I'm like, I love that someone can take the effort and time into this. And I understand, like, especially it's a lot more difficult. I mean, teaching isn't, I'm not saying it's not difficult for all teachers, but when it comes to high school and college students don't even, college kids and college teachers don't even really take the effort into talking into each other. It's more like they send each other emails every now and again.
Right.
But when you're dealing with little kids like that, they're such a formative ball of clay, and you gotta make sure that, you know, if you drop them, you do anything like that, that can misshape them, that can form them.
Relationships, key, period. Like with anything, communication, but like in our school, kindness and relationships are key. You have to build that relationship. You know, like, I knew you loved drumming. I'm going to let you drum. I knew you needed, you know, to move a little bit.
You got me into the drum program at school too.
Yeah, man, I wish we still had that.
That went to a whole different outlet. Like Mr. Booth, someone I want to have on the podcast, my fourth grade teacher. He, I was in, Miss Zirkle was her name.
Yeah, she's still there.
I remember I would always sing really, really quietly in class, and apparently my mom says I have a good voice. You do. But I would always sing like low to myself, and then she thought I wasn't singing one time, and she made me stay after class, and she sung this, or she had this one song, "You're Gonna Sing It With Me Now." Yeah. And she would play it, and I started singing. She's like, "You have a beautiful voice. You need to express that more." And then I was always like nervous, like, I'm not getting on stage. I'm not doing that.
Right, I remember that.
I can make jokes in the back of a class, but I'm not getting on stage. Right. But Mr. Booth was like, hey, you need to do this. Like, you need to do that. And I came to you at one point and asked you about it. And you said, definitely chase after it, man. That's exactly what you said to me. Chase after it, man.
That's it.
And I'll never forget exactly, you were wearing a black sweater. You had a coffee mug in your hand.
Shocker.
You had black glasses on, and you told me, you were like, and you had your hair a little bit fuzzed out on the sides, and you told me, just go for it, man, do it. Right. And I think that was the time you had your daughter in your class.
Probably. I love to bring her. And I love to bring both of them. They still come and visit. They love it.
Mr. Booth was go after it, man, seriously. And he pushed me into it, staying after school and doing that. And I remember I sang in front of all those people and how proud my parents were, front row. And my brother he was in music in school too. And it was just watching that. Everyone's like, your brother, that's your brother? Even Matt's family came out to see me. Right. And it had me... I was so nervous at the time, but when it was over, I was like, I'm glad I did that. And they got it. And they got it on video. I remember Mr. Booth the next day came in and set a picture on my desk, and it was me, and I still have that picture
That's
today.
super awesome. So like that's the thing. Everybody needs a little push from somebody different, and that may come in the form of like some random person in the coffee shop. It may come in the form of a teacher. It may come in the form of somebody you share Uber with. Like that is the cool part, you know. But you also went to talk to somebody like, should I do this? And I could have been one of those teachers that were like, yeah, you can't come in right now. Like, I can't talk to you right now. I'm sorry, I'm busy.
Yeah.
But
it would have been much easier to push me away than bring me in.
Right. But that's what.
A lot like you're like a mama bird. You took all these kids under your wings.
That's the way we all are. Seriously. And that's what makes education so freaking awesome.
I mean, you got to think all the pitfalls too, like just trying to manage a class all day, especially like I know even after recess, like when we're going to lunch or something, keeping them all in line, simple stuff like that people don't even think about, not just teaching the curriculum, but
yeah, I mean, you have to let go of a lot, like in life. You just can't.
You can't hold on.
You can't hold on to things that really, in your values and beliefs, aren't super important to the education of a child. So anyway, it's all good. But like, I seriously have to give props to Gwen Lehman, because when I was having that moment where I was like, I'm not going to graduate because I can't figure out algebra. I was walking down the hallway, and here is this teacher, short theater teacher. I had heard of her. I was in a couple theater programs in my Catholic school, but I was very shy. Shocker. Like, I didn't talk at all, man, my freshman year, right? Well, no, that's not really true. All. So I think I started dating surfers in my freshman year, so I definitely started talking at one point. I was riding my bike across the bridge to see those ESA competitions, you know? Go hang out at like BB Bombers and Ocean Sea Surf and Sport. Do you remember those places at all? So, but I was still definitely introverted.
Yeah.
And I remember Gwen Lehman literally was like, you should try out for theater. And I remember thinking, no, like, I don't want to be on stage like you. So I tried out for theater, and then, of course, she was the person that was like, don't listen to anybody else. You're going to become whatever you want, and you are going to be badass at it because you live from this place in your heart. Don't let anyone tell you you don't understand math and you're not going to graduate, because you are. And it was seriously, I had her for 3 years in theater and in psychology. She was the one that inspired me to read. Believe it or not, I did not like to read chapter books when I was...
I picked the shortest, easiest book to read, even though I could read well.
Yeah.
I picked the shortest ones I can just get
It wasn't enjoyable to me.
Get the log done.
And I think that could have been possibly from the private school mentality, where literally you sat for hours and just read, and like I remember falling asleep. Like, I need to get up, you know? And Gwen Lehman single-handedly, like, she was such an angel to me that my entire Stephen Decatur experience. And I totally attribute my reason why I wanted to become a teacher was because of her. Like, I was like, I want to be somebody's Gwen Lehman. Psh, boom, bang.
You became everybody's Gwen Lehman.
You know? Like, I want to emulate. And there were couple other teachers, too, that just, like Mr. Chapman from Ocean City Elementary. He was profound in my existence. I mean, he was, again, I didn't talk at all, really, in elementary school and class at all. I never, like, raised my hand, ever. And he put me in a show, like the 5th grade show, The Big Deal. Like, I was an old woman in a snowball storm. And he played the music and he wrote the script and everything. And there wasn't even any talking, I don't think. But it was about kindness, actually, because I was an old woman when these kids were, like, throwing snowballs. And that was 5th grade, dude. I was 10. I'm 44. And I profoundly remember the feeling, just like you were saying, of my parents clapping. Like, holy crap.
She just did something
nobody thought she would do. You know? And it took like Mr. Chapman. It took, like, Miss Lehman. You know?
See, when it comes to, like, there's so many factors that play into the world and how it works and how it affects the children that we have and affects us every single day, especially when it's the teacher, you taking that extra mile. But also, technology is advancing. I have to ask you, when it comes to looking at students now, every year probably seems different. More and more kids on the phone. I know I see kids that at my age, I had a CD track hooked to the side of my pants and giant headphones on, and I'd walk to school with a Linkin Park or a Black Eyed Peas CD.
Man, love
and
it.
now I see these kids have cell phones, iPhones, all this stuff, and they're not looking like all in. You know how hard it is to try and connect with a student when they're completely oblivious that you're even there?
Well, we feel that in elementary school, although like our kids don't have cell phones, like we have to, like the high school teachers have to deal with, you know, they put them somewhere. Or honestly, a lot of the high school teachers have to use their cell phones for interacting with whatever they're teaching because everything's so technology driven, or they use their computer because they're given a computer now in high school, but like a laptop. But we see in elementary school how the brain is changing because so many toddlers are given this, man, hey, here, let's
play on it.
Play on it while I go do this. And hey, I'm guilty of it too, dude. You know, I used to sit Zoe in front of Elmo. I used to sit Gracie in front of Barney for a little bit. But I see too many little kids, man, grab their parents' cell phone to entertain themselves. So, like, we're starting to see, or I am starting to see, where I've got to teach in, like, chunks of 10-minute intervals. Because the brain is, there's research, the brain is really forming in a different way now due to this being put in the hands of kids.
Well, what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
First thing I do?
Check your phone. That's the first thing I do is check my phone. I roll over and check the time.
Well, of course, my alarm's on my phone now, right? Yeah.
Our phones are way too connected.
It's not the ding, ding, ding. It's not the typical alarm. I mean, I have a song that comes on first thing in the morning, you know?
Well, that's a positive thing, too, because waking up to a song can start your day off right.
Yeah, dude, I change it every now and then, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
music is
that little
key.
bit of thing. It's hard waking up to that dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun dun over and over again. You end up getting anxiety when it comes on.
Right. But like, music is key for a lot of healing, too, you know? And I think with your situation, I knew that outlet for you. And so did Mr. Booth, and so did Miss Young. Her name's Miss Young now, Miss Circle. But like, every kid has different outlets. Art is such an outlet. Oh man, art literally saved one of my children.
It lets a kid express creativity.
Absolutely.
Miss Palmer, I remember her at BIS. She threw in the art program for me, and that really had me going. Like, I mean, it had me, she was like, just here, do this, take this pencil and draw.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
That type of stuff, like, my mind, you don't understand, with ADHD and having to deal with that.
But you could do that and listen to lessons and you're fine.
It's so beneficial because
Absolutely.
the way my mind thinks, I can be seriously into one topic, but also thinking about a completely other one.
Yeah,
like having this conversation, I've had a million different thoughts where this conversation will lead next.
Right.
And I figured that's a great outlet for my podcasting.
Dude.
Just with being able to come up with good topics and going into different types of wormholes. Everything I do, it's not scripted. I don't have any, you don't see any questions here, me asking you.
No.
And it's me being able to pull out knowledge and information I get from people I've taken in from the world, whether it's been, there's days I've sat at a library and trying to read as much as I possibly can on some books, just like taking that one day out of like a year, like I need to do this. Like when everyone goes to the gym, which is going to be tonight on January 1st, all those people in there that take that one day to put in all this effort and then the rest of the year slack off.
Yeah.
It's the fact that like, you don't have to go to the gym every day. You don't have to change your body. You don't have to do whatever you don't want to do.
Right.
Just because you think that's what you have to do.
Right.
You have to find your outlet.
That's it.
Find your passion.
Find
take
your light,
every
man.
step, and every step that you take after that needs to be in search and in wanting of that.
And you know what's crazy about that is once you get in alignment of that, once you start to like be, all right, this is what I need in my life. This is what I need. The next things just start coming. It's crazy. I've seen that in my life. I mean, where I really wasn't like an avid traveler at all, dude. I was born right here, you know, Westo girl. Like I've told you, graduated from Decatur. Didn't get accepted into Salisbury, believe it or not, because my math scores were too low.
What?
Right. So what happened with that was that led me to North Carolina. So I went 6 hours away to a small private college in Wilson, North Carolina, called Barton College, and it used to be Atlantic Christian College. And dude, I was there because I couldn't drive home, you know. And there I met two like amazing seniors, and they were girls, and they were like, hey, this sorority is like one of the oldest sororities in the United States. This chapter here is falling. We need like 30 good freshman women to rush this sorority right now and totally save the chapter from falling and reinvigorate it at the college. And I did that. And I became president. My sophomore year of college, I was president of this amazing sorority where I had sisterhood, really, truly, probably the only time I ever loved that many women in one place. Because women are hard to get along with, you know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, guys aren't easy to get along with.
Yeah, right. But to live with them, and then that totally changed my life. And then, hey, I had to come back home due to some circumstances down there. And then I was like, hey, if I'm going to be here, got up with Miss Lehman again. Like, went and visited her. And then she was like, what did you think about becoming a teacher? I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And went to Salisbury, finished out there, and was hired. I wasn't hired right away. I took some long-term substituting, got married in the middle of that, canceled my honeymoon so I could be a long-term sub, which was huge.
What?
Yeah, man. I was supposed to go to Mexico, and I was a long-term sub at Ocean City Elementary School. And the principal was an amazing principal, and it's her first year there. And I remember she was like, you can have this job as this long-term sub. It was the first one. But what are you going to do when you get married? And she's like, aren't you going on a honeymoon? And I said, yeah, I have a trip booked to Mexico. She's like, kind of like, ooh, because you can't be a sub and then they pay another sub for you to go on a trip. So I canceled my flight to Mexico, didn't go on my honeymoon that year, And then she ended up being one of the main people that helped me get hired, because she was like, hey, this chick canceled her honeymoon
to do this,
to be in my school. Like, she is the shit. Like, this is the chick you want,
They need people like that. We need more. There needs to be more in our school system like you. There needs to be people that take that time. And that's what you did was an impossible thing to really ask from anybody. But the fact that you were like, I'm doing this. Like, I'm sorry, we can't do this trip because I need to do this.
Yeah, dude, I was like, I really feel like if I say yes and I cancel this honeymoon,
how understanding
I'm going to get a job.
How understanding?
He was super cool, dude. Super
open to it.
Open and super. He always supported everything that I ever wanted to do. I went back and got my master's in counseling, and Grace was only like 2. Like, he literally was, the dad with Zoe was 2, 3, 4, 5. Zoe was 6.
Is he in the fire department?
Nope.
What was he at the time?
No.
I couldn't remember what he did.
His brother.
We took a trip to the fire station one time.
Yeah, right. His brother was there. Yeah, his brother was probably there.
And you let me get in the truck and like let him do the sirens real quick, dude, and I would flash the lights and do the sirens.
You have to say, like, you definitely were a favorite in that group. You and Matt, man. I'm trying to picture that group, and it's crazy.
You know what's nuts is I never pictured you singling me out as even a favorite or anything like that. You took every single effort into all of them. Fred, everybody.
Yeah, but listen, if any teacher says, like, you're all my favorites, yes, that's true, but there are some that you just tug at our heart a little bit more.
They have that little puppy dog eye look.
You do, and your smile was infectious.
Oh my God.
And when you and Matt got together and you guys laughed, you made me laugh.
I'm the only one that can get him to talk. You know that?
No.
A lot of people are like, isn't Matt shy? No, he's not.
Yeah.
He is a chat box. Me
and
him
really?
were podcasting the other day for an hour, and I'm sitting there talking to him like
it's
I still have to post it. I told him, I was like, man, it's a rough podcast. Matt's not a super, like, he's a lot like my buddy Skylar when it comes to, like, they need something in them to be able to get like a drink or something before they start getting open. Like my New Year's podcast New Year's Eve one I did, like he about an hour in is when you can start tell he's relaxed and he's not all like, knows he's being recorded. He totally forgets the mic's on and he's like just like getting into it.
The cool thing about the New Year is, because it is crazy that it is January 1st, 2019, dude. I mean, like, just that number kills, like, my daughter, Grace, was like, Mom, do you realize this is the last time we're going to say teen in the year? like 2019.
I didn't realize that, but now that's going to blow my mind. I mean, I'm still trying to get over the fact of writing stuff down. I'm going to have to be writing a 9 instead of an 8.
Right? Oh, I know. I will mess up on the date forever for
And
like
you're
a
a
month.
teacher. That's you're going to see
Jacks me up
that all the
every-
time.
The kids will fix. They'll be like, Miss Williams, you've got the wrong year. I'm like, yeah, fix it. You're good.
We're
Thank
living
you.
in the past.
And with that is something. It's so hard not to do, but you have to literally. Damn time hop, man. Time hop throws the past in my face every day. You know.
You don't understand. Like when I was a little kid, I remember everyone's like, "Just wait till you're 18, then you'll be an adult." And then I turned 18. Wait till you're 21.
Right.
I'm 21 now. Are you gonna tell me to wait till I'm 40? Wait till I'm 50? Wait
Yeah.
till I'm dead?
Just
and they wheel me by the
enjoy
window? Like,
Just
oh my
enjoy
god.
every day. Enjoy every up and down, man.
Well, it was crazy how that night everyone's like, you need to be going out and drinking at midnight the night of your birth, like before.
Right.
I'm like, my birthday falls on literally the party day. Literally, everyone parties on that day for it to end. Every year from when I was a little kid.
I just snorted.
It's fine. It's 100%. It's cool. But like every year of my just being alive and every year on my birthday, my parents were DJs. They worked.
I know.
They went out and made money because that's a big night for a lot of DJs and stuff. I had maybe a friend or two over, but it was hard for parents wanting to go out and party and watch the ball drop.
And it was
ring
your
in the
birthday.
New Year, and it was my birthday, and I'm like, it was so hard to set stuff up. Oh my God, I was messaging everybody like, can your mom get you, like months in advance, can your mom get you here on this day? I'm having all this happen. It could be set up, and then the last week, oh, we're going out of town for Christmas, and we won't be back until after New Year's. It's like, oh.
How cool for your mom, though, to give birth to a New Year's baby, right?
I have no idea what time it was. I was like, Mom, if you would have held it one more day, you would have gotten massively
She would have been like, you
paid.
know what, kid?
One of my best friends growing up too was also born on the same day as me, but born a year earlier.
Really?
And his mom's friends with my mom, Edwin Horner.
I love the Horners, absolutely.
He's
great people.
He's born December 31st,
Yes.
2016. Or not 2016. I hope not 2016.
Actually,
1996.
The oldest daughter has a child going to our school. That was another thing. Like, I walked in and I'm like, whoa,
that's
is that
crazy.
your child?
That's gotta be like
That's
a
what
slap
I mean.
in the face.
That's
like
what I mean. That happened to me
kids
this
that
year.
You taught. Oh my God.
You know? But it's the new year. So what you got planned? What you thinking? Do you do the whole resolution thing?
Did I?
Do you do the whole resolution thing anymore?
I think towards the end of my podcast last night, I was trying to think of stuff I want to do in 2019, but I more have hopeful things. I definitely want to podcast more. I definitely want to spend a little bit more time like trying to connect with family a little bit.
Yeah.
I've closed a lot of them off because I like doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also a thing like I want everyone to kind of be happy, but I really want to find this outlet with podcasting. It's definitely it's become a passion I found like when I first found the gym. And I'm starting to realize like I'm not falling out of the gym out of a little bit, but I don't kill myself anymore, and I'm not there for 3 hours. And I'm not feeling I have that. And that happens to do with just a lot of like dealing with anxiety and depression.
I agree, dude. I'm going to tell you, the gym did save my life at one point for sure. I joined CrossFit 2010, so it's been a while, as you can see. And I was going through a really terrible time in my life, man. Straight up, just like relationship-wise. And one of my old friends from high school was like, hey, have you heard of this gym? They were the first ones around. They used to be like behind Friendship Road, behind like Arby's and stuff.
Yeah.
You will literally like kill yourself. He was eventually the guy who sold my house, my house in West O that I owned for like 25 years. But he was a good friend of mine. I don't know if you know him, Dealey Chester. Dude, his brother is owns this amazing farm in California and now does filming for Oprah Winfrey on Super Soul Sunday.
What?
He does some amazing Super Soul shorts that like hit you in your soul. Seriously, I'll have to send you some links. But and he was a Decatur boy, one of Decatur's like successes. So Dealey was like, you gotta join this gym, I'm in it. But like, you'll run though and you'll lift weights. So I went to this gym, it was a box they called it, and I met Kelly and Steve Rayco, and I joined, and I went and lost in a year 80, 90 pounds.
That's nuts.
But you know what? Like, I learned how the gym And, those hormones are key for your anxiety and your depression.
Oh, it's my therapy.
So I've got to get that back in my life.
If I have a good, if I have a good podcast thing, I think this is where I might want to chase after with school. I'm not into being a therapist, but when you have a podcast, you're not just talking, like I'm hearing anything you want to say. I'm getting to know people. It's not like I'm hearing your problems and sitting
you're
here
not like trying to
listening with a
diagnose
pencil. I'm not trying to diagnose you.
Yeah.
But I'm having a interesting conversation.
Communication.
And if you have problems that you want to talk about, we can talk about it. There's times you don't have to be recording to be doing it, but at the same time, I like filming these podcasts because I have such interesting topics with such interesting people.
Well, this is the thing that I love that you're doing is what, to me, you're doing is you're opening up the importance of communication face to face.
Yes.
I haven't looked at my phone.
I miss this. Like
you haven't looked at your phone.
Usually I have it where it's set up. The only thing like I'll usually have set up where I tell everyone phone's off or phone silent, phone vibrate. My brother's like, "Well, I have to have my phone off." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I don't want it going off during the middle of this podcast because you lose that connection with me." I put my phone on do not disturb. Last night, that's what scared my mom. She thought, since I was out or whatever, and I was trying to film a podcast, I was like, I'm going to be filming, so my phone's going on do not disturb.
Did I go on airplane mode? Flying
disconnect from the world. I'm tired of getting emails in the middle of the night while I'm trying to sleep. Like, could save this, could save that.
I go on airplane mode every night. Yeah, so that's what you're doing, Robbie. Is like I think you are definitely highlighting the need and the importance of face-to-face communication, because without communication, dude, in relationships, like we are damned to hell. Like we have to sit and talk. It's the reason why relationships fail. Lack of communication.
It's the same reason like you see Amish people or even my grandparents. They don't have the new age technology. I see my grandfather with a flip phone. He only has that.
I know, love it.
He doesn't send texts. He doesn't do any of that. He calls people. You need to call me.
Yep.
Call. I'm not sending you a text. You're not going to text me. He hates using my grandmom's iPhone. My grandmom's into the technology and loves it.
My dad still has a flip phone, man.
Yeah, she sees the beneficial stuff in there, and I like where technology's at now, but like I walked into my buddy's house last night. I cracked a joke with him while we were filming the podcast. I told him, I was like, walk into your house, he has the Alexa set up, welcome, all that type of stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm afraid to walk up to your doorstep one day. It's going to be like Elon Musk where like the door scans me, says you are permitted to enter. Right. Then I walk in, I'm like, you're going to have your Alexa hooked to the toilet. Like, I hate that. I like having...
I totally disconnected our Alexa.
He bought me a Google Home, and I hope he doesn't listen to this because I don't use that thing at all. I have that. He got it for me last year on Christmas, and I have it
me out. My nephew's like, dude, and it's true. Alexa is recorded. I've actually heard of Alexas being used in court cases.
They record everything on your... And, I found out that I use earpods or AirPods for the gym.
Yeah.
Wireless headphones are probably as far in technology I'm really going to go. Just because that is awesome, because I don't like having the cord where it's choking me around the neck. I don't even know what it's really like to have the cord anymore. Sometimes I'll go back to it if my headphones die.
Right.
But having Bluetooth headphones where I can walk downstairs early in the morning, like 5 in the morning. I got up 4 in the morning this morning. I'm trying, I like getting up early, but being able to brew up a coffee and start cooking with my headphones on, I can still hear what I'm doing to make sure I'm not being too loud, waking anybody up.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, I can play the music as loud as I want and also be able to focus.
Listen, I was just in New York City for the first time the other day. I'd never been. Have you ever been?
New York City? Yeah, I've been when I was really little.
So like
I
am not one of those people that I can feel energy like anywhere. Great energy right here, by the way. But I can feel when I'm in like a huge crowd. I love concerts, dude, because everybody's there. They want to feel the same energy, And but when you go to a place like New York City and you're walking past like the Times Square area, but you could tell the locals from the tourists because they have the AirPods in, because they can't handle that noise pollution. Straight up.
Well,
it's like they're listening to whatever makes them happy to carry on with their day to get them from point A to point B and still smiling.
Isn't that crazy how it's the same thing a lot with like teaching and doing stuff like that, like showing positive emotion through not just physical actions or that emotional like sit down that you have to talk with somebody that someone can benefit from, like how we're having this emotional spark kind of happening here, where both of our moods are probably increasing. Our brain's probably sending a bunch of different signals and boosting happiness and just like being able to relieve stress throughout the day. And it's like getting stuff like that, music inspires that so much. Creative passion. That's why I believe it really takes like a good teacher, and like we need more of them in our systems where we can have someone that finds how important creativity is for someone to be able to express themselves, whether it's in anything you want to do, whether it's with podcasting, whether it's with writing a song. I wasn't good at writing songs, but I can write jokes. Dude, I thought at one point I wanted to be a stand-up comic. If you check my Netflix history, it's nothing but stand-up comedians. I've watched Ron White's special, Tom Segura special, Bill Burr's special, Joe Rogan's special a million times over and over again. Last night my mom messaged me, how many times are you going to watch that this year in 2018? It's been like 1,000 times. Are you going to change it for 2019?
Comedians.
No, it's going to...
Dude, you loved jokes, and that's a trip. And you know what? Laughter is so freaking important. It's so underappreciated.
She tells me all the time, my mom always goes, what's with the jokes? Why do you always have to joke around? If you don't get my sense of humor, I'm sorry,
Yeah. But laughter's huge. I mean, you know what I think it is laughter makes you breathe, like I just snorted a while ago.
Yeah.
Like, in breathing, we have forgotten the art of breathing. Dude, I saw this one thing on Instagram where it's like a necklace, and it's long, and it looks like a little tiny cigarette, but it is for anxiety, and they're encouraging kids and adults to wear it, and it literally is like a piece. It's like a tube.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a tube.
And it's just for breathing.
It gives you the effect, because you know what it is? When you smoke a cigarette, it's not the actual, like nicotine does do something, it does stimulate.
But it's the breathing.
But it's the deep inhale.
Yeah.
A monk actually discovered that in Beijing, China, where he went... and he was breathing into like what basically his thumb, like if you were sucking on your thumb, was just breathing into it, or like taking a nice inhale, like if he was smoking something, and it gives that certain release and effect in your brain where it makes it think it's happening. That's the same way they get smokers to stop, because they're not chasing the actual addiction from the nicotine chemical, they're chasing that feeling that they get after they smoke that cigarette, and their brain links it to nicotine. It's not actually nicotine, it's that effect of inhaling. It's the same thing when you're laughing so hard, and like you said, when you snorted, it's like when you're laughing really hard at a comic thing, you go and you take that big inhale to breathe after such laughter. You remember those feelings or those certain moments where you're laughing so hard, your sides hurt, your ribs, you think you're gonna throw up because you're laughing so hard.
Those are the best moments, and I fully support laughter in the classroom or anywhere, man. I love to hang out with people that make me laugh far more than hanging out with people that, make me feel depressed. You know what I mean?
Well, who wants to sit around with a wet blanket?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you want to be out with someone that has as much emotion as you do.
Dude.
When I go to the grocery store, I'm like making fun of the food name products. Like when I go down like to Harris Teeter or something, and I see all the generic brand cereals, they have one that's there's the real one that's called Fruity Pebbles, and they have one that's Fruity Rocks.
Right.
I'm like, how long did it take you to get that one? And there's one that's it's Frosted Flakes, but it's just flakes. I'm like, you didn't even try at that point.
Dude,
and
that's
it's
a
like,
trip. I'm gonna have to do that next time I go in the grocery store. I try not to even go in the grocery store because the energy in there. I'm a huge fan of Walmart pickup.
Look, why are you a fan of Walmart pickup?
Dude,
you don't like going into grocery stores?
Man, well, what happens when I go into a grocery store is I see someone that I went to school with. I see some child. And it becomes, I go in there for 15 things, and I want to be out in like 20 minutes and self checkout.
For like 4 hours.
Dude, I'm in there for like 2 hours because I run into people that are like, "Hey, oh my God, what's up? How you doing? How's your mom?" You know.
You know the one thing that's crazy that my grandmom taught me, I still use to this day, and she actually got me a gift card to go to Walmart and go to like just like a Visa card, one of those things. And she put $50 on it because I know this will last you in groceries for a couple weeks. I go to the grocery store at 4 a.m. and I go yellow ticket stuff. I get all that stuff that's all marked down already early in the morning. I eat a lot of produce, so it's like fruits and vegetables. I freeze all my fruits and all that stuff. It's actually what I was going to do today. I didn't know if stores were going to be open just on New Year's Day.
Right.
But
but that's amazing. So if you're doing that and you're really into that, totally off. Remind me to set you up with my little sister.
You know, it comes out tomorrow is the weekly ad for all the stores.
Well, I want to set you up with my little sister. So she gets produce and meat. I don't know if you eat meat, but she gets amazing produce.
I eat like chicken and fish.
Yeah, man. She gets amazing turkey from the Amish.
Mm.
Yeah, straight
Cheap
up.
too, probably.
Yeah, and it's amazing, and she does a drop here in the areas. I have to hook you up with her. Remind me about that.
For sure. See, well, tomorrow the new ad comes out for like one of my favorite stores, Harris Teeter. Just when I got older and started realizing this is my own money now, I'm not expecting. It's a lot of times when I look at like what people ask me what I wanted for Christmas, nothing, a card. Did my mom tell you about that?
Mm-mm.
I have a shoebox in my room of cards.
I'm
I
the
have
same way,
one
dude.
from my great grandfather where reading it, he's not here anymore, and hearing it is like the words. And I told my mom, I said, when I get a birthday card or a Christmas card, any of that, and she does it, and so does my dad, so does everyone. They do not put the money in the card. Do not do any of that. If you're giving me money, don't put anything in the card. I want the card because the first thing I'm grabbing as I'm reading that card, I'm reading the front, I'm going to check the back, and I'm going to check the inside, and I want to see you underlined every word that actually meant something for you, and you wrote something down.
Dude, that is so key. Okay, so I'm an underliner. I'm an underliner in cards and in books. Huge, right? Underline those words that mean something to you. But I'm also a total saver of anything written. I mean, I definitely know that I'm supposed to write a book this year for sure. Definitely a lot of ideas, but I love writing. It's therapy to me. But I have every single... Dude, I started a diary to get through the tough times, a journal, when I think I was probably 11. Probably when I started Catholic school. That transition from moving... we didn't even move, but the transition from leaving my core group of friends to totally not knowing anybody, I started to journal. I still have those journals. I wrote straight up through college. And I have gone back now because people go in your life and then they come back. And then you come and you sit around. I even have like all my old videotapes of like videotaping proms and stuff. I'm a saver, dude. Cards, everything. It's so beautiful to look back and to read somebody's written word and to be like, okay, I feel them. So I started going back through my journals just because, my youngest is in high school now. My oldest just graduated. So it's that period where I can like reflect back on where I was in that time just to kind of make it easier for me. What they're going through as a mom. Like, dude, I got to chill. I got to not worry as much. Let me see what I was going through. I specifically would mention people that are still in my life. And I'll call them up and I'll be like, hey, man, I was just looking through my journals. You got to hear this. December 1989.
Damn.
We were going to go see Die Hard.
That's 30 years ago today.
I thought about publishing them.
Not in December, but
just because straight up out of the true mind of a teenager growing up, And it was a trip. And some of them I wrote profoundly about
Christmas
experiences
movie of all time, Die Hard.
that I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back at those experiences and I'm like, damn, so that really was shaping me at that moment.
I got a really good thing that you should add to your year this year. I want you to go to the store, and I saw this on Instagram. You go to the store, get a giant stack of 500 little sticky notes, and go. You're not going to need to use all 500, and then get a giant jar, a pickle jar, pretzel. The giant
one, huge pretzel ones,
huge pretzel gallon ones, and I want you to cut a slit, like if you're going to put money in there, and every day write at the end or at the beginning, write down something positive, positive that you're grateful for, just positive in general, and put it in that jar. And at the end of the year, look at them all.
I will do that for sure. I have.
That's something I'm going to tell my mom to do too, so we can have it downstairs in the kitchen. So at the end of the year, we can look at it and look back at everything, and I'll just put it up on like a giant collage board.
And don't years go by super fast? You're 21.
Well, I'm about to figure that out. I mean, once I started getting older, the years got by. Like, it seemed like this December went by. I don't really remember it that whole much.
Yeah.
I felt like it was just the 1st of December, a couple days ago, and now it's already January. I got to go buy a new calendar. I got to go do.
Yeah, right. Do you have years though that you were like, I don't know what really took. Do you ever have years where you were like, "Isn't this funny? I'm asking you the questions because I'm used to that, right?"
Yeah. You can ask me the question. That's the point of this podcast. That's why I like it. It's a conversation.
It's like, do you have those years where you literally try to reflect and you're like, I don't really remember too much out of that year?
Yeah.
I do too.
I definitely think the year I took off when I graduated high school, I took a year off, like, just working and doing that, seeing if I wanted to do that and not go back to school.
Right.
Yeah, I needed to go back to school.
Right.
Working 2 jobs, working out, and just doing that was like, there's nothing in my life that I'm working and putting more effort into. Like, I can get fired anytime. I can do this, and I won't have that, all those years I put into that company. And it's like I needed to find a more, that's with any job, even if you get an education. But being able to find something that you're passionate about, that you still want to do, that gets you through the next day.
It does. I'm
difficult.
trying to explain that to my oldest daughter right now. So many... Gosh, and social media can really be a downer in that aspect where, it's graduation time. Oh, I'm sorry, like a couple months before graduation time, all these parents are posting the acceptance letters of their kids and going to college. And
you think a lot of times it's not even the parents that are just want to show off how important their kids are. They just want to see the likes and the
right?
everything come in on their post.
And I mean, for number one, dude, my whole family is like, you're an over poster, chill. That's definitely something I want to try to limit in my... but I try to keep it positive and inspirational.
Yeah, you do it more like if someone's having a rough day and rough go at things, you're like trying to be positive. It does get addicting seeing those likes and like views come in your stuff where you're like, oh, this got 32 likes. I don't really post on Instagram, but when I put up something about like more like now it's just everything from my podcast. Before it was everything with my abs. You're looking for that, outlet. Now if I post an ab picture, it's like I wake up in the morning after like a fresh dump or something, and I'm like, I'm shredded right now. And it's like, see, I crack a joke like that, you laugh. Some people in this household will be like, why do you joke like that? That's disgusting. I don't want to hear that. I'm like, all right, okay, well, that's my sense of humor. I have this 7-year-old sense of humor that when my brother's kid gets a little bit older, he's going to understand and we're going to click. I'm going to be the fun uncle.
Oh yeah, you will.
But that's just how I am. I like cracking dumb jokes. I like laughter. I like being able to smile and have a good time rather than being able to shoot somebody's plane down. Why would I want to do that?
It's like dipping into somebody's bucket, casting stones, and I can see in my experience with just kids, and now I see them all grown up, a lot of them, dude, the ones that were mostly the casting of the stones, those kids that were picking up those stones and just making fun of other people or just being mean, I never let that happen, but dude, just that mean general sense of disposition that some people have, they are not the successful people. I don't care what degree you have. I don't care what college you went to. You're just still mean. And you're not successful. So like this whole kindness kick that we're all on is huge.
Yeah.
And I've tried to like tell my girls, dude, and kids, man, you do not have to get a degree to be successful. I can name you bang, 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 kids or family members that didn't go to a 4-year college, don't have a master's degree, and they love what they do, man. My oldest sister, she didn't even graduate from high school. Dude, didn't graduate from high school, went back and got her GED. She owns an extremely successful salon right here in the Pines, and she is a therapist to thousands of people. And she's owned it for like 30-some years.
See, like, I thought I wanted the passion of being able to help somebody in psychology, but, I've had days at work where I've been super, super frustrated at just my job in general. And I remember some dad was like, I just saw him in the hallway and we started talking. He's like, yeah, where are you from? I'm like, around here. And started shooting the shit. I told him, like, yeah, I go to the gym. It's my second job, I do this, and started teaching him. He's like, dude, I have a kid that was in the same position as you were when you were a kid. You said you were overweight and all you wanted to do was play video games and all this stuff. My kid's like feels like he's a loser and he's depressed all the time. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, let me talk to him.
Perfect.
And he goes, okay. He goes, well, he's not here right now. He's coming in tomorrow at his mom's. When do you work? I'm like, dude, I don't work until like a couple days from now. And he goes, okay. Well, if I don't see you, man, it's good to know. like that there's someone out there that I can probably try and get a story going with him and get it.
See,
I was like, okay, hang on a minute. I came in the next day. I made sure I worked the next day. So I worked on my day off. I worked, and I literally found the room number they were in. Called him like, hey, this kid's here. He knew my name. It was Robbie. He knew all that. He brought his kid down to the lobby, and they actually had to be checking out that day, so they only stayed one night. And I talked to his son. And
no way.
His dad said something that upsetted me a little bit, and I don't mean to throw his dad under a bus, but his dad's like, he's fat. He was fat just like you. Said that to the kid. I was like, all right, dude. And I told him, I was like, hey, man, I think they need your help trying to find the car. Go put some stuff in the car, basically. Just trying to get the dad away. And I sat there with the kid. I was like, look, don't listen to your dad when he says something like that.
Yep.
He doesn't understand. If gaming is your passion and that's what you want to do it. But you got to understand, my life was all about video games going up through elementary school and all that because I didn't have a car. It was a way for me to connect with my friends online. We played video games all hours, drinking 2 liters of Mountain Dew 24 hours a night. I remember my dad would just come upstairs with a 2 liter or like a glass of soda and then like a cut up sandwich like you need to eat and place it down in front of me and stop throwing bags of Doritos my way or something. He would just place down a peanut butter sandwich, slice it up like, you want to come down and talk. I'm pissed off at myself more at the fact that I was not able to realize like those are moments I'm going to need to get back. Like those are family moments I don't have anymore. I want that family connection now that I'm older. I'm starting to realize there's going to be moments my parents aren't going to be around anymore. And that's going to suck. Dude, and I know I'm going to be a parent too, and I'm going to have my own kids, and I'm going to be upset when that happens, the same thing. But it was the same thing. My parents weren't ever really home, just being with their jobs and trying to support me and making sure I had an Xbox to play on, making sure I had, these things that I totally took for granted. I thought they just hated me.
You know what though? That's just growing up, man. Like I hear you what you're saying and I feel you, but like I think majority of as we grow, we feel that way. I still feel that way. Dude, I still feel that way. Like with my parents, I'm like, man, maybe I should have not like put so much into my job. Maybe I should have visited with my mom every Sunday and my dad a little bit more, or hung out with my sisters. Like literally, we all lived in the same piece of property in West O, behind Waterman's. Like, why did I not walk to my sisters more? They literally were a walk away, and I don't live there anymore. I think we can do that. Like, but then we have to just make the change. Like, all right, so I feel that way. So now every Sunday I'm gonna go visit my mom.
I just believe we get too comfortable in a certain routine or program where we just get weird and like everything when we fall out of it. If we add something, even going to see a family member. I mean, my brother lives in West Ocean City. I don't go over there all the time.
Exactly,
Mostly because, like, if I'm home, I'm home.
Right.
And it's hard, especially when you're dealing with, like, work and you're so tired, you finally have a day off. You don't want to do anything that day.
Dude, I don't want to talk to anybody, man.
Yeah, you just want to disconnect from the world and just relax.
Dude,
but then that second day in a row... And then that third day comes in, you're like, I need to go back to work or I need to go do something.
It's funny that you say that. So that's how the New York City trip came about. I mean, it's holiday break. I wasn't going to go. My family's all here. I think it was like the second or third day, dude, that I was just sitting on the couch, chilling with the pug, chilling with the rescue dog, the cat, and I had just binge watched Tracy Morgan's new...
Tracy Morgan.
The Last OG, right?
Right.
Laughed my ass off, man. I love to watch stuff that makes me laugh.
You know he almost died.
Dude. Walmart truck, right? Walmart truck, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know his story. So Steph calls me, my little sister, and she's like, man, wake Zoe up. She's supposed to go to New York City with me. I'm like, what? Dude, I've never been to New York City. I was up for some crazy reason at 6 a.m. Teacher's supposed to be sleeping in. I'm up. I go upstairs and I'm like, Zoe, dude, get up. Aunt Steph wants to take you to New York City. She's like, man, I don't think my anxiety can handle it. I just want to stay here with my horse, like, chill. I'm good.
She was into horses, too. I remember that.
She still is. And I went, they save her daily, on a daily basis.
You know, horses are the only animal that has a mental connection with you. A horse will not ride right if your brain is clouded.
Yes, I know that. She taught me that, dude. She taught me that. She is a freaking horse whisperer. She's a horse whisperer, and Gracie is a whisperer in a whole nother avenue, which is a whole nother podcast, because that stuff is amazing.
Get her on. I'll do it. I will do it.
Your mom knows about her. So, like, I go, and I'm like, Steph, she doesn't want to go. Steph's like, dude, do you want to go? I'm like, what? Man, I've never been to New York City. She's like, I got the boys. We're just going to roll for the day. I'm like, dude, nah. Hang up the phone. Doug's sitting there. He goes, really? You've been in this house for like 2 days, 3 days. Have you left? Like, you've just been in your own little cocoon of...
Get out.
He goes, you need to go. And I went, you know what? I think you're right. But it took him to be like, are you serious? And what was he doing up at 6 a.m. too? I have no idea.
He's probably trying to get you out of the house so he can start doing something crazy.
Right. So he goes, you need to go. And I was like, called Steph. I'm like, all right, when do you need me to be ready? 20 minutes. So check this out. Awesome trip. You know, whatever. I'm so much of a beach girl. But anyway, mountain person. Anyway, like, Steph goes to pick up the car in the car garage, which is so cool. The car garages are all under the buildings, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll stay here and wait for the kids while you give the guy the ticket. And all of a sudden I hear her go, my sister was just talking about you. And I hear him, Tracy Morgan, go, your sister?
That's right, you met Tracy Morgan. Yeah, I'm so jealous. I saw that picture.
Said,
I was like,
where's your sister? And then he comes up to me and he's like, your sister's my type. And I'm like, what? I just binge watched you, man. I was like, your story though. Literally, dude. I shook his hand and gave him a hug. He introduced us to his family. You know, he was like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a teacher, man, 22 years. He goes, underappreciated and underpaid, baby, but keep doing you, man. Keep doing you. You got to keep doing it. And I said, you know what, dude, you keep doing you. Because I just want you to know, I literally just binge watched you in my PJs for like a day. And you brought me so much laughter and joy. Lit him right up. You know? He's like, this is my brother. This is my mother. This is my other brother. He's like, what a picture. And it was just an awesome little reminder of, we gotta laugh more.
And also, they're everyday people just like us.
They're everyday people.
People don't understand that. They think there's some super genetic freak or human being, like a super, like when you see an athlete or Elon Musk, you think that dude is definitely above a cut above the rest. But at the same time, he's a person just like us. He likes to party.
Yeah.
That's why people gave him shit when he smoked the blunt on Joe Rogan.
Right.
I tell people, you can smoke on my podcast, you can drink on my podcast.
Right.
I don't care. Be you. I want you to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. I don't want you sitting here feeling uncomfortable and not open, because that blocks off a whole outlet of our conversation. I can sense it when you're not. I can sense you're very comfortable right now.
Yep.
That's why I asked you when you came in, do you feel more comfortable sitting in the terrible chair I'm sitting in, or do you feel more comfortable sitting on the couch?
Dude, this picture is adorable. Like the fact that
lines and everything.
The fact that you're like right there, and I still see you as a third grader.
Oh my God, that is perfect. That is a whole.
It's just crazy.
That was so unintentional too. That's
I'm like
ridiculous.
sitting here and I'm
it's
like,
a little child painting of a lion, a giraffe, and an elephant.
Yeah.
But I that's what I told my mom. I was like, I want to have. Joe Rogan made the best. He's really what related it to me. My mom's like, will this table work for a good podcast area? No, it won't. Why? It's not too square. It's not chest height. I was like, I understand. Like, she understood it, but I told my brother about that. My brother didn't understand at all. You got to understand, when you set up a vibe for the room, it sets up the vibe for the conversation. It's going to let you know it's more open. Joe Rogan talks about it when in his studio, he has a warehouse. It's a giant, like, airplane hangar size studio.
Right.
On the other side where you don't see, he has on the other side where you don't see, it's about a room probably from a lot bigger than this, maybe 3 times the size of this.
Right.
And it has nothing but pool tables and all this stuff. And then in a whole separate room, he's got workout equipment. He's got a giant gym. He has an archery range in his studio. And then in his actual, like, where he records his podcast, he has a giant wood table around chest height, ergonomic chairs, so where you're not so comfortable you're leaning slouched down like in a couch, but it's not so strict where you're sitting straight up like you're feeling like you're being interviewed.
Is that what you want?
No, what I want is I want ergonomic chairs like he has. I want the little computer chairs kind of, not where it's like you can slide all the way back, but you have the free range to slide. I want the nice marble floor, you know, that where it doesn't get stopped on carpet. I want the wood table that's at chest height, that's matched with me, where I can have a microphone right in front of me and headphones on and a computer off to the side.
Right.
And enough
so
open space to have the air. You just have to
keep like visualizing and manifesting that. But I tell you, like, definitely have a window, because that window was huge for you in that classroom, right?
Right?
And
looking out the window.
Window.
You saw halfway when I was talking to you. I was looking out the window.
And I'm like looking at the trees at the time talking to you. You have to have window. You have to have like connection to
you have to have the light.
Space.
You have to have that
the
light.
The light
to follow.
worker, man.
But also, it's like when he talks about the stories, like Tom Papa or somebody, where he's interviewing in a podcast and they spill coffee. When Ron White spilled his drink on the table and he's trying to wipe it up, he's like, no, let it soak into the table. Why? Gives the table character.
Right.
Puts stories into the table. I'm going to remember, I want to get, when I get an actual good coffee table, I want to be able to say that where like someone could ash on the table or someone could do something like that. And someone be like, that's the story. It's there now. It's there for the podcast.
And doesn't everybody have so many stories? Just so many stories. And that's what you want to do. You're like pulling stories out of people. I just want to
be able to create such a comfortable vibe for you, create a comfortable vibe for me. I hate when, I feel like this podcast starts off between like kind of like an interview. I'm getting your life. I'm more like trying to get your story and out there. But it's a conversation between me and you. We don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about. We don't have to talk about your job. We don't have to talk about you.
I think it's
you
freaking
can ask
awesome.
me questions. I can ask you questions. I just want to talk to you. I want to bond with you. Like the same thing if we weren't recording, if we weren't doing any of this crap. And
wouldn't this be a cool experiment for kids to actually listen to that don't know how a conversation really goes?
You don't understand
how many people don't know how to communicate?
You don't understand how many people out there will get something from this that might talk them off the ledge, might talk them from a depression.
Absolutely.
Someone that's going to connect, maybe not to me, maybe hate me. YouTube, whatever, the comments. I don't even. There's no point in even reading them. There's always going to be someone that doesn't like you. There's always going to be something that's going to critique something you say. Yeah, but at the same time, there's going to be someone that enjoys the person I'm interviewing, and they're going to want to hear that episode over and over again, whether they mute my volume or not. I don't care.
Dude.
The fact that you can do that, I started realizing I've been going to the gym every single day for 5 years. I'm listening to a Joe Rogan podcast that lasts around 3 hours, which eventually, I wish that was my career, where I'm so set for life. If I won the Powerball or something, I would buy the studio and just have that as my day job. So do you believe in that, like
manifestation stuff? Like, the more things you hear, the more things you see, the more things you imagine you can become?
I believe we're, not just as children, balls of clay. I believe throughout the world, our lifetime, we're all being molded and changed. Whether it's
every experience.
Whether it's someone pushing your head deeper and deeper down into the street where your spine is bent and you're older and you're like all just pissed off at the world, or someone's keeping you erect and just fresh and you're standing straight up and being able to smell the clean air.
That's
when
huge.
You're bent down.
That was beautiful, by the way.
It was all out of my.
Because you think about that, dude.
I think about the world. I
Times.
see someone's face.
You see people, just like you said, bent down. Like at first I was visualizing somebody on the street sidewalk, but then I realized you were like, now I see like a person just grumpy, just like head down, shoulders down.
Like an elderly person looks a lot more pissed. Like worn. It's like having a t-shirt for too long.
Yeah.
You're going to get some holes in it, you're going to get some scratches in it. I don't see those holes as bad. I don't see those as turns off. Like where
Band-Aids,
people want
right?
to get... Yeah, but where people see like, oh, that dude needs surgery or major like facelift so he can fix his wrinkles. Those wrinkles are stories. There was a way that your face, your expressions, when you see someone with a lot of wrinkles and they're not super old, it's because they make a lot of faces. I know that's one problem I'm going to have when I get older is I'm going to have lines on my face. I'm going to look like
I have them.
I'm going to look like a Morgan Freeman basically with my face because there's going to be lines. I enjoy to smile. There's going to be that creases there. I'm not worried about keeping my face a certain way, falling asleep away a certain night, putting on a mask or something. I'm not worried about that. I want to be able to be happy, be free, be able to go out into the world. It's going to be
so much prettier for your soul. Like, it's going to be so much nicer for your soul to worry about
it's
all
the
that
same
inside.
thing I'll go back to getting a card. That brings me more joy. I can, someone in my family had a problem with their car. And I can't spend $5 on myself. I spent $30 on myself yesterday for a video game. That's the biggest purchase I've ever made on myself throughout this whole entire year. I buy $5 shirts. I don't buy anything expensive. I go thrift shopping. I do all this type of stuff.
I love to thrift shop.
But it's not a factor of saving money. It's so hard for me to spend money on myself.
Why is that?
My buddy's like this too, and we talked about it last night. You know what my buddy got me for my birthday? a 55-inch plasma screen TV.
What?
He's bringing it over later today because I could not fit it in my car. But I walked into this guest room, or one of his rooms where he always tells me I can stay at. Mm-hmm. And when I walked in, I thought it was just an empty box. Didn't pay anything attention to it. He goes, "Did you see your birthday present?" I go, "What?" And he goes, "Go back in there and look." And I look, and there's a bow on the TV. I'm like,
wow.
No freaking way.
You know what? I feel you, dude. I kind of was raised that way.
And I wasn't expecting that.
Do you think that's a product of how you were raised?
I believe
not to put like money into materialistic label BS.
With your personality, I believe it's about being less selfish and more open to the world. Being more open and caring. Mm-hmm. I feel like a more caring person is more willing to spend their money on going out grocery shopping for their family, and buying stuff their family wants, or putting the effort into doing that rather than just buying stuff to themselves.
Right.
There's some people out there that'll spend $80 on themselves and won't spend a penny on somebody else that they love, apparently. There's someone that won't take the time to call them, still won't take the time. I don't make as many phone calls as I should.
Isn't that crazy? I have a good friend of mine, and he's like, dude, don't text me.
Call me.
He lived in Costa Rica for a long time, and he's like totally behind the times is what he says. Doesn't Facebook, doesn't Instagram, doesn't Snapchat. Well, tried a little bit, but he's like, dude, don't text me, man. Human voice. Need to hear that voice.
Yeah, I need to see. That's the same thing with one of my favorite comedians, Joey Diaz. If you ever know who he is, he played in The Longest Yard. He was the fat guy that.
Tracy Morgan was in The Longest Yard too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he played a little bit different character than Joey Diaz, but he was the one that got hit so hard, and when he was on the ground, Terry Crews pulls out, in the newest one, he pulls out a couple cheeseburgers. Here's a McDouble or whatever, and he goes, "Does that have cheese on it?" He places it beside him. "Give me a can of corn and I'll be fine." That guy.
Yes.
But he has the thing. He's like, he'll call you and then call you, and if you don't answer, most people stop calling. No, he keeps calling you until you answer.
That's the same way
and he literally says, "When I call, you pick up the phone.
That's it.
You see I call, you pick up the phone.
Yeah.
You call me back. Don't text me. Don't do any of that. You call me." That's the same thing with I am. I'm not going to bug you, but if you miss a call from me, you don't, that type of stuff. It's like, look, I like the phone conversation. I hate sending a text. I hate hearing my phone go off. I keep it on vibrator. I leave it in my car. I don't like going out into the world and seeing every kid looking down, bumping into you. Oh, they don't even apologize.
So New York City,
I'm like,
I
"Sir,
I'm
3 years old."
Yep.
Or not 3 years old. I'm 3 years older than you. And, it's the fact that you're not taking the time to be as mature as I am and be able to be open to the world, especially when you see somebody texting and driving and you're sitting there waiting behind them at a green light.
That's hard
for me.
Go.
And then the light turns yellow and they go, and then you're stuck at the red light.
Crazy. This is the thing. I love back roads. Because I do get irritated when I'm at a stoplight. Like, to go from Berlin to Westo, I will not take 50.
I like the scenery, too.
Exactly. Water, no traffic lights, but seeing people interact. Another thing that really drives me nuts is seeing parents smoke in their vehicle with their kids. And it's against Maryland law now.
That's a big thing with addiction too, just because with cigarettes, roll your window down. You don't understand that air needs to find a way out, so it's going to go out their window.
Yeah, exactly.
And most parents think if they roll their kid's window down, the kid will be able to breathe fresh air. I remember being a kid and my parents would smoke in the car, and I'd always stick my head out the window like I was a dog trying to get fresh air and stuff. And I might have been over exaggerating when it comes to that, but it's like at the same time, when they're at that age, they're so formative too. You're it's like I said, you're a ball of clay basically, and you're like that through life, but at the same time, you're so sensitive. It's when you see a little baby or someone at a concert and you see that they have headphones on or they're plugging their ears are still kind of new to this world. They're not as in tune. They say, if it's too loud, you're too old. Older people need louder music and stuff like that because, they can't hear as well. Their ears have been here longer than you. They've had their hearing longer than you. Their eyes, when eyes get weaker when you get older, they've been around longer. They're not as fresh.
That's right.
And if you start poisoning that stuff at such a young age, it's going to affect them through the rest of their life.
Totally. So, dude, I don't know where I was going with that. It was definitely something you said about eyes, though. Like, I'm definitely noticing how right now, like, I just turned 44. Like, my eyes, I have to wear readers now to read.
it sucks. I'm telling you, and it's technology's fault too.
Oh, and that's...
how close you're sitting to your TV. My buddy got me a 55-inch TV. I'm so excited about.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm nervous because my room is not the biggest room. I have enough space for my bed. When I'm laying down, I'm at the foot of my bed playing video games, and the TV is literally where you're at, right in front of me, arm's length away. And it's like that 55-inch TV. I want it to be sitting back to the wall, like, oh my God. And especially at night when I have Netflix going, I'm trying to fall asleep.
Yeah.
That's going to illuminate my whole room.
It really is. It's going to give you a whole new sense of energy in that room. In New York City, right in Times Square, literally, like, you feel like you're in Miami International Airport, man. I'll never forget that feeling of being like a cow, you know, going through, like, that's what you felt like. You felt like an animal being pushed through these lines, right? Going to slaughter is what you feel like. So in Times Square, and note, like, again, locals, they're not on their phones, dude. They are looking up. They're navigating. They know. You have to look up, man. This one old man was like, get off your phones, people. Walk. Yelled. Because of the amount of tourists who were on their phones, on Google Maps, on TripAdvisor, whatever, trying to figure out where the hell they were going. You know what I mean? Okay, so why do you have to do that anymore? What is wrong with... Dude, when I was in college, I didn't have this stuff. I left college, my friends would be like, hey, you want to go to ECU? Hey, it's Halloween. Hey, you want to go to NC State? You want to go to Chapel Hill? You want to go... Like, we would get in the vehicle, we would follow the signs, and we would get where we were going.
There's definitely good parts.
And yes, we got lost every now and then. And when we got lost, it was super fun.
There's good parts about that, but that's also what creates a story. Like I said, that's like a stain on the coffee table.
Yeah.
You know, when you don't know where you're going and you don't have your phone, if your phone's dead, you don't have the ability to pull out GPS, or you're over your data limit and you can't use it.
Right.
It's like, okay, this is about to get interesting because I'm lost. I have no idea where to go, and we're trying to find this hotel, especially when you're traveling. There's good parts about that, and then there's times where it's like, look, I just need to lie down. I just want to get somewhere.
Exactly.
But, you know, I mean, if you're not in that at that moment where it's like, I need to get there now or do something, you're not in a hurry, then why
just
not?
Enjoy it.
Go shoot the shit, enjoy
the freaking ride, man, right? So, I mean, in New York City, it's pretty easy. Like, I love Key West. Definitely going to end up retiring there. It's a freaking rock, and it's horizontal and vertical lines. Very few diagonal streets, right? Yeah. Same way in New York City. This guy was like, get off your phones, man. Just walk, look up. He was like about to lose it.
Come back to the real world. That's
people that weren't from there were holding on to their family members shoulder style. Like, you know, the what is that dance we used to do?
The whatever it is. I don't even know. The conga line?
The conga line.
Cucaracha.
Yeah. So they were holding on to each other so they would not lose each other. Because that's the way it is right there in Times Square. Right? I went through that twice, and my sister was like, what do you want to do? I'm like, dude, can we head towards Chinatown? Like, can we go somewhere?
Let's get real.
Let's just get lost. She was like, yeah, this is too much for me. I'm like, I'm not built for this, man.
See, what scares me is about New York is not that, like, everyone being on their phones, but also the fact that, like, there's everything's advertisements everywhere on TV.
That's what I mean.
Your eyes have to be taking such a beating all day, and it's the same thing. I have people that were from New York that work at my work, and they smoke constantly, and I'm like, that's gonna kill you one day. They're like, no. In New York, it's a common thing that, you know, all those cars being in together, not just emissions from that.
You see it.
Brake dust.
Brake dust. Who would have thought of that?
30 years. They took a lungs of someone that never smoked a cigarette, was in New York for 30 years, living the daily streets, and then someone that was 30 years old that smoked heavily, constantly, every day. The New Yorker had more black tar on his lungs, not from smoking, but from brake dust. Inhaling that, it sticks inside of you. That's why when they come down here and they talk about it, like, I'm like, why do you smoke so much? I've been around, you know, I lived in New York. Brake dust, man, was way worse. And you're smoking cigarettes. Because physically, when you go to a heavy populated area and then you come out to a country, the air smells different. It smells nicer.
Well, and that's the thing, man. We were going through that tunnel to get there, and I was like, and Steph was like, dude, when we come out of here, boys, we're going to be in the city, New Jersey. You know, you come out, you're in New York.
Hold your breath.
Way the windows up, and the boys. But my nephew, his name's Wyatt. He's the oldest. Dude, we were leaving after we met Tracy Morgan. We're in the vehicle. Steph's navigating us out, And he just goes, Mom, I don't know what's wrong with me. She's like, what's up, buddy? What's wrong? He was like, my brain, man. My brain is just overloaded right now. And she was like, okay, just remember, what did Crissy teach you? Not me, Crissy from Zena, breathing. Mm-hmm. She works with kids with anything, but he doesn't have any anxiety, but he was so freaking overloaded. Sensory overload. She was like, dude, just breathe. Remember how to deep breathe. Going back to that breathing, like Crissy taught you, out like a light.
Man, that's got to be the same thing with like what babies go through when they're born into this world. They're getting every single sense, touch, everything.
Depends on how they were born, right? That's a whole nother. You talk to a nurse about that. Like,
just the hearing and everything, like you're taking in sounds you've never heard before, sights you never heard before. I mean, hell, when I see something that's new to me, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen that before. Mm-hmm. But imagine taking everything in, like multiple different new things in at once. Mm-hmm. Not just
that's
like
what happened to my nephews.
Do you ever sit and just enjoy the taste of what you're eating?
Yeah,
it's
so important.
So neglected in society now that I think about that. People are just shoving it in there. Like, I mean, I understand too. Like, eating's a task I see is getting it done, but there are people, like, I understand where food becomes an addiction, where they're trying to enjoy every bite and just I think about it. My grandma, where she used to just suck on potato chips. She used to take one at a time. And I was just a kid, handful after handful after handful, just eating till I was full. But her taking the time to set out a nice little bowl, take a chip, put it in her mouth, enjoy it. Piece of popcorn, something hard candy. That's why they have hard candies. I love going to my grandma's house. She hands me a hard candy.
There's originals.
The ones that last 80,000 million years through a nuclear holocaust or anything.
You know what? But like the food addiction piece is huge too. I've started to have kids notice more students in my classroom with that just recently. Just a nice little crop of them. You know what I mean?
Just eating too much or eating too little?
Well, there's the eating too much, and that those are usually the kids that don't have too much out of anything.
Either don't have food or...
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, our system was set up, and I think still is set up to, the families that need the most nutrition, the most vegetables, the most fruits, the most good proteins are not getting that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's hard for a school system because a lot of times when they do free lunches too,
right?
what are they serving? It's pizza.
It's starting to get better.
School
like we have
pizza's
salads.
The bomb, though. I love
you know what? So are school cheeseburgers and hot dogs.
What?
School cheeseburgers are the bombs too.
They are the bombs.
I used to crunch potato chips in mine.
Dude, cheeseburgers, the Crustables. Yeah. Oh my God, the Crustables waking up. Do they still serve the breakfast for the kids in the morning?
Yeah, we do. Do we?
But not in the cafeteria, but the free stuff that came to the class.
We still our kids have breakfast in the classroom.
Yo, I'm gonna come back just so I can snag a chocolate milk and one of those sausage McMuffins, because I would eat breakfast at home and I would still come to school and eat the McMuffin.
Yes, you did.
Man. Yo, I stocked up on those, man.
You used to light up, and I think you used to ask me for two.
That's what and I ate breakfast at home too.
Yeah, and your mom would tell me
that's where my childhood obesity would come from.
He doesn't need to eat breakfast, and I think your mom was one of the ones who made me not let you have breakfast.
Yeah, that was so good.
Because she also knew like the nutritional, the nutritional value of that stuff. But I have more kids now that have more anxiety, so they're trying to. The only thing that they can control based on what's happening at their house is what they don't eat. So I'm seeing more food addiction with. I'm seeing more of not eating.
Like, this is the only time I get food. I might not eat for the rest of the day. It's a lot when it comes our work has we have Russian students and foreign students that come during the summertime to work. They eat as much as they possibly can because our work serves free food, like at lunch, like there's certain times. They come down there plate after plate after plate, don't save anybody, don't care about anybody else but themselves for it. And they just go plate after plate because they will not eat the rest of the night. They try and save all their money. They live 12, 13 of them in a house at a time.
Man,
they all take showers, They bring their clothes into work to wash at work because they don't want to spend money on doing it themselves because they bring all their money back home. But I found out you can sell Levi's pants back there for, if you buy them $10 here or something, you can sell them $50 over there. You can sell them for way more, and that's just because of economy issues too. And it's so hard to be able, like, teachers being, I mean, we're all affected in this world by every single influence, everything, but it's like, teachers have to deal with it the most too, especially when you're trying to shape a mind of someone that's going to end up putting into what this world has to offer.
Yeah, I mean, literally, the ones that don't eat are the one. Usually they have plenty of food at home. Usually it could be like the parent is forcing them to eat a certain way. So when they're at school, of course they're packed lunch, but they might choose not to eat because they can control that there at school. Like, I'm not going to eat because nobody's making me eat,
Yeah.
I'm starting to see that more. But anxiety is huge. I mean, hey.
They're going through as much stress as an older person is, especially the anxiety rates in teens and in young children has been on this heavy incline for a long time now.
Dude.
And it's getting worse every single year. That's a big stress with technology. The first thing they get is, sometimes I get Amber Alerts on my phone. Mm-hmm. That gives me anxiety. And, a kid sees that and might not think about it at that moment as important as it is. But, understanding from like how I don't have any kids myself, but I understand how my parents view me. Mm-hmm. I understand how important it is that you brought something into this world and you watched it grow up and it's now like on its own doing its own thing.
That's scary.
I understand that, and that's something you're worried about until the day you die. You always are going to be worried about your kids.
Yeah, my mom's always worried about me.
And it's like the fact, like, those kids don't understand it at that moment. They're more absorbed to their realm only goes to as far as they can really see as their reach goes. They don't have a car yet. You don't understand how big your perspective gets. It's like the dome of your life and mind just got bigger when you get keys to a car. And then imagine being able to travel anywhere. Imagine being able to do anything like that.
Travel is huge. Like, I didn't get to experience travel. So now I'm in that phase in my life where, like, I try to pick a word every year. My freaking word this year is adventure. Like, I want to get in my Jeep and I want to just roll with it. Go more places, get on a plane. Save some money, work an extra job, get on a plane, go somewhere I've never been before.
I had a really good question to ask you.
Okay.
If you had to choose between free gas for a year, free air travel for a year, or $10 billion, which one would you take?
Jeez. Dude.
Because I asked my buddy that last night, and he was like, $10 million, no doubt. I was like, yeah, but if you're doing free gas, imagine free food or free gas for 20 years, free food for 20 years, free travel for 20 years, free, it's... imagine that.
My first inclination was the free travel, because that is what I want to do. Like, I feel my soul, my spirit wanting to fly. Like, I feel it wanting to go to new places that I've never been, right?
My buddy John Bunk, he's someone I want to have on the podcast. He's like a local little skate guy.
Yeah.
But he traveled. He just got back from Greece. That's the one place I've dreamed of growing.
Too.
The one thing I'm super obsessed with, and it's the reason why I just bought this new video game, is because it happens to do with it, Greek mythology.
I love Greek mythology.
I can name you all the gods. I can name them in Roman. I'm just obsessed with those stories.
Did you ever watch that one movie, man? When I was a kid, there was a movie in Greek mythology, and I feel like it was black and white. It was like had the head of Medusa. The guy had to go and like take her head off. Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans, yeah. With it's Perseus.
Yes.
Son of Zeus.
Yes. Greek mythology was one of my... Actually, that was something Miss Lehman sparked.
One thing, if you're interested in, I actually said this last night on my podcast, Greek statues, they're all painted. They all have paint on them. They took a black light to the statues. They're not white. They're not pure white. There's paint on them. Like if I see how my see how my pants
Who
are.
knew that?
See how my pants are red.
Right.
They could have been painted like that back in the day. But
way.
So everything you see on TV where all these white statues, they weren't like that back then.
Weathering.
They all have a giant paint on, but through the years and years and years and all the damage they've been through, that's not how it was.
But you know what? I'm still thinking about your question. I would take the money just like your buddy. Do you know why?
Because you can invest it for your family. That's what his choice was.
Exactly, dude. I have so many family members. I mean, not just family members that are like struggling.
Because he asked me this. He asked me a question. He said, if I could give you $10 million, but you had to shoot a gay or you had to shoot a porno,
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was you get $10 million for being in a porno. It doesn't have to be gay. It doesn't have to be, it can be straight. It can be whatever you want. But I was like, that's a big question because he didn't mention all those little details. I was like, what age am I going to be in the porno? Because if I'm in it now and it's a straight porno, I'll do it. But if it's a gay porno, I don't want to take the risk of knowing that I might be gay.
Right.
That's just with my own mind.
Isn't that interesting how you said that? I was wondering how you're going to come out with that one, like...
See, that's how my mind takes it. My
awesome.
mind, he literally was telling me, he was like...
I think that's very important to honor.
He was like, I didn't think of that. Like, I didn't think all those things you just added in there. I'm just asking if you would... I'm like, you made the question... It was a simple question, but I took it... my brain took it another route because I'm thinking of every possible outcome. It's the same reason, like I said, I like to do with my podcast. When you give me an answer, I'm thinking multiple ways around that, multiple ways it's going to either affect me personally, multiple ways I'm going to take it where it's going to interest me in a topic, or is it going to interest someone that might be listening? So
who do you relate to in Greek mythology?
Who do I relate to in Greek mythology?
Is somebody that you're
my
just like...
favorite person that is a god, if we're asking about gods, I really love Poseidon just because I'm obsessed with water. And I love to enjoy water, and the moon too is connected with him. But also I feel like my personality is a little bit more like Apollo, being a little bit flashy and also wanting to, like the sunrise kind of type deal where it's like I enjoy the water a lot, so a lot with Poseidon.
That's it.
But just being Apollo, when it comes to music and inspiration and creativity, how he goes after that passion.
I haven't studied that in a long time, but I'm going to. But I want to tell you, dude, you just said Poseidon. So about 4 years ago,
I bought that sea lamp turtle thing, and I have a giant conch I brought back from Hawaii. It was $80. You blow into it, it makes the group call like you would for a tribe.
What? So about 3-4 years ago, around this time, I was like, all right, girls, let's load up in the Jeep. Let's go somewhere. And we were into that letterboxing thing where, I don't know if you know, this is super fun. You would have a stamp and you would follow clues to places all over this country, and you would find a hidden stamp. Like there's ones hidden all over in Berlin. You have to follow the clues to find the stamp. You stamp your book, and then you leave your stamp there, so people see that there's still people letterboxing. So I was into this letterboxing thing, and it was a riddle, and it had to do with Poseidon. So daggone, if we did not follow the clues, you got to go. Virginia Beach has the best sculpture of Poseidon.
I will go.
Go visit. Visit. And inside that sculpture, can't remember exactly where, somewhere around the base, we followed clues to a rock that was carved out. You find the rock that's carved out, you pull it out. People are like, what the heck are they doing, man?
I know exactly what statue you're talking about, too.
Yeah, and I just came up on my time hop.
It's on a fountain. There's actually an episode of Futurama where they jump into that fountain.
Dude, it's amazing because I don't know if it's on a fountain. He's holding what would you call that spear?
The trident.
That's it.
Like Aquaman.
Exactly. He's holding that trident, and in the sculpture is like dolphins and a turtle like coming out of the sculpture. It's in Virginia Beach, and I took the girls to see that, and it was awesome. And then we came back home.
My buddy's like, my buddy just told me I like looking at the statues' crotches, that's why. Because they're all like naked and everything. I'm like, no, I mean, they have a chiseled physique I admire 100% being a gym goer. But actually the fact that if you look at a lot of those statues, like the amount that someone's creativity and mind sparked that, like, apparently people have seen like Zeus and all these, like Zeus in the form of an eagle and Poseidon in the form of a dolphin or some type of sea foam. Athena was born from just the mind of, it was a headache of Zeus that just bursted out of his head, and that's why she's the goddess of wisdom,
right?
And like that type of stuff. And it's like Aphrodite came out of the sea foam and was born out of sea foam. It was a mix between Poseidon and somebody else in the sea. And like with these gods, we know about the major Greek gods, the 12 major Greek gods. Hephaestus, I would love to relate to, just being the fact that he's a blacksmith. So what they picture him as like a rugged, dirty man, but he's ripped.
Right.
He's jacked from working on the forge all day, crafting weapons.
About him.
And Ares, god of war, one of the most popular, one of the major ones. You know about the three basic ones, obviously Zeus, Poseidon, and then Hades, all three brothers that banished their father, Kronos, who was eating all their brothers and siblings. But there's Oceanus, which is the titan of the sea. There were titans that are older than the gods, and the Greek gods just became like the little parent, like the children that took over. And it was like, you hear about all this stuff, but those titans are the primordial stuff you can't kill, and that type of stuff. Like in every Greek god movie or something, there's always a titan or something that they have to fight. Titans represent like God's created man. What the whole point was, God created mankind. So have you ever seen Wrath of the Titans, or the newer version, where there's all little gold statues of people lined up in like the temple of the gods, the Parthenon and everything like that.
Right.
All little statues. Well, when the Kraken comes to the town and starts wrecking the whole town, all the statues are falling off the walls and crashing and breaking. Those are all the people losing their lives. Because apparently Zeus created mankind and all this stuff, and then they once we stopped praying, they started losing their powers, and that's the newest ones about and stuff. Like, I dive into all that. I like reading those little stories about the demigods. I saw every Percy Jackson movie.
Jackson was the bomb.
The Hercules movies you used to play all the time, the cartoon one.
Yeah, but
it deals with so
Percy
much.
Percy Jackson was the bomb. Zoe was really into that. You talked about the moon. Do you feel the effect of the moon?
Some days I feel like I'm restless when the moon's like all the way up in the sky and it's really big.
Cool.
Like I'll be like not be able to sleep, and I'm like wondering why there's so much light coming in my room right now.
I was asking you that because you mentioned how you've been getting up and everything. I mean, I'm a creature of the sea, right? Like, I know that. I mean, just
I eat everything
up,
that comes out of the sea.
I have to be around the sea, the ocean, the water.
I'll eat a shark's butt. I don't even care.
Yeah.
It's delicious. I love everything
Shark
out
butt.
of the sea. I haven't
Shark
found
butt.
anything that's bad.
Shark butt.
Shark bait. Ooh ha.
But I am so affected by the moon. So just start paying attention to that. I have a friend who literally is like, dude, it's a full moon. Leave Crissy alone.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't turn into Michael Jackson's like Thriller where you turn into the werewolf.
Sometimes I do.
You just get you feel a sense of calming.
Dude,
like, there's nothing I love more than waking up in the morning or like being up in the middle of the night with a coffee or like a decaf or something,
a tea,
and just stepping outside and hearing like if it's a light rain.
Yes. And
just hearing the pitter and patter off the trees.
Dude, I love it. I love.
When I woke up this morning, my
dad brought me up on the water in the woods, like, hey, we're going in the woods today, and we're gonna walk. And we would just sit and listen. And we would just sit, and that's something that's definitely you need to teach. So we're teaching that in our school now is mindfulness, dude. It's freaking amazing. I actually look forward to going to school after announcements. We do this little program called Mind Yeti, and dude, they teach the kids how to breathe, and there's like a person in the background talking about, one of them was like, be the rock today instead of being angry with your friend, or be a rock, don't let it's just different things. And these little kindergarten, first, second, and third and fourth grade kids are listening to this with their eyes closed, just chilling and breathing.
That simple stuff adds so much into a child's life, and it's so formative.
And the kids that I would have expected, like my little dude that I had to like tape a box around his desk, just stand, man, just stand. My little dude, he is literally like,
yeah, that's where yoga plays a big major thing. Too. I never really got into like all the poses and going into class and stuff like that, but it
takes a lot of strength to do a lot of those poses.
It's something also for your mind where you wake up and you see like a sunset. That's what I did on my birthday morning. I woke up super early and went in, like, saw the ocean. We live right here, and I watched the sunrise. It was beautiful. No, everyone's like, why don't you sleep in? You're off. It's like, no. I want to enjoy and make this day my own.
So I figured out, like, I have to live somewhere where I live now. Sold my piece of property in my family unit, after 23 years of living in it. Sold it, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is like the worst thing that could happen to me, that I have to sell this house. But it ended up being one of those things that have propelled me into where I'm supposed to be. Because if I wouldn't have sold that property, I wouldn't realize how much I love seeing the sun rise every morning on one side and seeing it set every day. I didn't have that in Westo because I was woods, you know? I wasn't.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, thank you for selling that house, because I realized, you know, I love the sunrise and I love the sunset.
Hang on. Sorry, we're on pause now. We had to pause for a quick second. When you're talking about, like, I mean, yoga, like, seeing a sunrise, and you said living in the woods and stuff, like...
Dude, I mean, sometimes you get really scared of letting go of those patterns that you've had your entire life, right?
Yeah.
And I was really scared of letting go of the fact that I am selling my property that I have owned since 1996, that my dad and mom totally hooked me up with, you know? My dad and mother, very successful West Ocean City real estate, you know, company. Like, dude, this was my family heritage to live and die on this property. Super hard to let go of that pattern. But if I wouldn't have let go of that pattern, it's kind of like a butterfly. Seriously let go of the entire chrysalis and just freaking into a new experience. If I wouldn't have sold that property, I would not be where I am right now. And I did not ever want to sell that property. But now I know.
Sometimes life-changing moments and, like, stuff you'd never, like, honestly, like you were just saying, how you didn't want to let it go. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's a light to it, too. You
Absolutely.
have to try and find that. And that's why I try and say to people, like, look for the goodness in the world. There's going to be times, like, I know my grandma misses the house she sold in Florida, waking up on there. I miss, because half my memories were in that house, too. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I do miss those, but, you know, it brought her closer to her family down here. Right. It brought her being able to have that type of joy. And, yeah, she always says she wants to go back. And I told her one day if I made enough money, I would send her and buy her old house back, buy everything back for her. Yeah, those are dreams, but she gets a good feeling out of knowing that, like, I'm there for her if she ever needs me. And
letting go of things.
It's a big step.
It's a huge step. And I mean,
that
even
sucks
those
for a
patterns,
teacher too. All right, you gotta
so I had
you gotta
to
relate to that to being a teacher.
It was financial,
not just financially doing that, but you're putting time and effort and investing your own, like, specific emotions into each of your students, and you're getting a fresh batch every year.
Dude.
You're losing.
It's like a new year.
It's like when I asked my teacher one time, "How do you feel after, you know, teaching us all this stuff and you're gone?" He's like, "I'm sad. Why?" Because now I have to teach a whole new group of kids. It's like you're restarting your progress all over again. You're always constantly restarting a process.
The best feeling is when they come back, just like you. You know, like, dude, the best feeling is when they come back.
That brings me to the question I wanted to ask you. How does it feel seeing me now that I'm officially an adult, basically 11 years later,
right? And
just, well, more than 11 years actually. It should be like 16 years later.
Okay, so I had you when you were like 8.
Because I graduated, because if I was in 3rd grade, and then 12 years later, I went through, it'd be 11 years later, so that would be all the rest of my school years, right? So then, yeah, that's about 5 or 6, I think I've been out of high school since 2012, so it's about 7 years now. Or no, more than that, way more than that, 17 years.
I mean, I feel a huge sense of inspiration. Like,
do you?
Dude,
I mean,
I do. Like,
do I make you proud? I don't mean to get to that corny,
absolutely,
but
man. But see, I
to
knew
see where
that.
my head's at, though.
But I knew that
because at that,
about you,
but
man.
at that time, nobody else knew that,
no,
and
your
you
did.
you
your
specifically like found that soul essence that
Yep.
crafted, you know, like to who I've really become today. And even though, like, I can't, you know, I'm not putting all my progress in life towards what you've done, but just the fact that you've taken that, you took that effort into me, knowing that someone that could have an inspiration on that knew that I can make anything possible.
Absolutely.
And knowing someone else knew that made it possible for me to understand.
But
and
your
be able
mom
to
knew
capture
that first, and I want you to remember that.
Oh, I will.
I want you to remember that, because, dude, when she came in and she poured her soul into me with, like, this is my Robbie, she would say. She was like, this is, I need you. And it was crazy, because we connected instantly, like I'd known your mom forever. And I was like, I will make him my own. I got you. You know? And you could see the stress just out of your mom. She's like, okay, this is where he needs to be. And I remember her actually, like, touching my arm, you know? And looking at Dr. Gass and being like, okay. Because I think your mom took a tour first before she decided. And she was like, yeah, this is where it needs to be.
Well,
you know?
she really saw it in my eyes the day I was like staying home from school, being sick. No, you're going to school. I was like, no, I'm not going into that school anymore. And
That's
she saw like
that you took a stand for yourself.
She called my dad. Well, I locked myself in the bathroom. She
Yeah.
called my dad. Was like, all right, yeah, we need to get him a new school or something. I'm gonna go. And later that day, actually, not even like an hour. It was still in the morning. Like I'm pretty sure breakfast wasn't even over yet. She started looking up schools and stuff, and she found Buckingham was right nearby, and she took me straight over there. And we toured that school. I walked in, and I did an intro class. Was in the wrong class.
Yes.
I went to a different one, and it was because I knew Jenna Lupiwalk was one of the. I don't mean to shout her out, but one of the kids that was supposed to be in my class that I ended up at the beginning of the year transferred. So I just knew her name. I didn't know what she looked like or whatever.
You talking
like,
about her.
I remember I came to class and I was like, what am I going to say when I meet this girl and be like, hey, you know, this is I heard your name. I've never met you before, but bam.
But you
know,
remembered
hey.
that.
Yeah, but then that class that I wanted to get put in was full, and they brought me to your classroom, Miss Williams.
Yes.
And that's where I met Matt and all these kids coming up to me. And I remember there was the candy bucket after recess or beginning of class. If you're good, you got candy.
Dude.
Yeah.
I had my candy jar. Dr. Gaddis and Mr. Shipley. I'm gonna shout them out because they used to steal from my candy jar, man. I had Laffy Taffy.
I know they used to stop by in class and take it.
Why did I have Laffy Taffy? Because the jokes.
The jokes on the back, and I always took the jokes. Yes. I'm surprised you remembered that I always read the jokes.
You would be like, pull it out of the jar, read the joke. If you liked the joke, you'd take the candy. If you didn't like the joke, you'd put it back and you'd do another joke. And you would take the wrappers home.
I would, and I'd save. I saved them too because I remember my mom threw them out all one time.
I don't give out Laffy Taffy anymore.
There was a drawer.
I should.
I don't know if they make it.
I can't really. They do. I put it in my girls' stockings. You can't really because you can't really give out too much candy anymore.
That's gotta suck. Someone has a nut allergy. I was talking about that yesterday.
Dude, it's just not.
I feel like the nut allergies popped out of nowhere. Everyone just started being
red dye
really
too.
allergic.
It's red dye.
Red dye number 1, red dye number 2. It's like
insane.
Now you can't even bring treats. Like there's all that stuff. Like
dude, my treat jar is like
not
stickers.
just field trips. Looking forward to in class, getting out of school and just doing that whole thing, but also the fact that like, you can't have Christmas parties or anything like that anymore.
You're right, dude.
I can't.
We still do the Polar
nobody can
Express
bake
pajama
cookies.
day.
You have to ask everyone.
Yeah.
Do you have a certain allergy to this? You have a certain allergy to that. And there's always that one kid. I can't have peanut butter.
Dude, then
no one can have peanut butter.
I had that one kid didn't even know she was allergic to anything. Went to gym.
That's gotta suck because you're in. They're such a young age. You don't know all their allergies.
Dude, she was a transfer. She went to gym. I happened to go to the bathroom in the nurse's office, and she was in anaphylactic shock. They were calling the ambulance. Her lips were huge. Her throat was swollen. Everything. Do you know when they found out she was allergic to?
What?
Heat.
Oh my God.
Dude, it was insane. Like, she went into like, okay, she needs a 504. We gotta protect her.
My grandfather's allergic to the sun. He can't be out in it for too long. He's pale skinned. He'll start getting like white sun bleach spots.
Yeah.
Imagine being allergic to water.
Dude,
imagine
heat.
being. Oh my God.
So gym was out of the question.
If it's a hot day, you can't go outside.
And then, like, whenever, she would get the special thing so that she would instantly cool down.
Some people just have just a bad roll of the dice when it comes to that.
I know. We shouldn't have to. I don't complain about too much, man.
But it's I mean, definitely. I think okay, your car won't start. You could be allergic to the freaking sun. You could be allergic to certain type of pollen in the air that chokes you up and kills you from breathing. They're beneficial, but they're also killers too.
I love bees, but man, we have a lot of kids that are allergic to bees, and if you don't know it, and they're on your playground and they get stung.
One thing you need to look out for in 2019, the bee population in 2018 actually increased. Bees are making a comeback.
That's awesome.
And also, and I forgot I was going to mention this during the podcast. That I mentioned it that we talked about yesterday about just development, but it'll come back to me. But in 2019, there's some good things hopefully coming down our way, and I feel it. I'm very optimistic. I have it down that like I said, we're going to become more open. Where technology is advancing and it's getting scary, it's also getting beautiful. I do believe we all need to take a minute to set our phones down and relax and have a nice chat with somebody.
It has been 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at my phone.
I know it's crazy.
We've been
right?
in a great conversation.
Someone could have called you and been like, "Hey, there's
I'm on
your
airplane
house
mode.
is on fire." Sorry, bro. I love that. I love that.
So fly in the friendly skies, a conversation on airplane
it's
mode.
a wonderful feeling, and I get it. I get it. You got some things going, and
You know.
I really appreciate you taking the time
Dude, I'm super proud
out of your
you,
day.
man.
I'm really glad to hear that because that's the one thing that really brings me joy.
But I knew that. But I knew you would be just fine, dude. You had that spark.
I'm trying to make it in this world as much as anybody else is trying to make it.
Everybody's just trying
I
to
want to
make
be able
it.
to. I think what I figured out at a young age was whether it's wanting to be on screen and making someone laugh, like being a comedian or being an actor, finding that type of passion. I really just want to make someone smile. It doesn't have to be a million people. I would love it. I would love me to be able to reach out to the world and be able to make everyone smile and get laughter. But at the same time,
Baby steps, man.
Baby steps.
And change what you change and try to change. Start with, be the change you wish to see. One of my favorite quotes.
Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world.
It's huge to me.
Yeah.
Start with you. Start with this little place right here, man. And then get bigger if it comes.
You know what I heard last night? I never knew, but Joe Rogan has a really good thing, and he says people are like sandcastles. And the way he compares it to is people are like sandcastles because we're temporary. And he compares it to going to the gym. He said, that person knows that their body's not forever, their mind's not forever, but God damn it, they're going to make it, theirs, and they're going to make it beautiful as much as they can.
Dude,
There's going to be that wave that comes up
Jimi Hendrix
and
in my
crashes.
head.
There's going to be that wave that comes up and crashes
Absolutely.
your sandcastle, but that doesn't mean you can't rebuild. And you can't bring it back. Everything in this world is temporary.
Everything.
Money's temporary, especially money. You burn through that fast, but life is temporary. Enjoy
right.
every aspect of it.
right.
If you need
Fist
to
bump
go,
on that one.
right,
Boom.
for sure. I just fist bumped my third grade teacher. That's a lifelong dream come true. Yeah, but it's beautiful, and just make sure you chase. It's the best thing I can tell everyone out there is chase every moment like it's your moment. Sing like you're in the light 24/7.
That's it.
Do everything for you. Make the world your year. Basically, make 2019 your year.
Your year,
this is
man.
your year to do something.
That's right. And light other people up. Light them up.
Not like a football game where you're hitting them, but
No.
light them up, make them smile, make them enjoy their day. Toss it. If you got money to spend, pay it forward.
Yeah, be that person that pays my postage.
Go to the dollar store, find someone that doesn't have much,
I had
and
a
just
parent pay my
start
postage
ripping.
at the post office, man. I was like, what? What do you mean?
The world's changing, and we got to change too. But let's not change it for the bad. Let's change it for the good.
Yes.
So thank you, Miss Williams, for
Thank
doing
you.
my
Super
podcast.
proud of you.
And good luck to everyone out there. And let's hope 2019 is a good year.
2019.